What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the JJSports podcast. I'm your host, Joey.
And I'm your other host, Josh.
And let's get started to our first topic of the day. Of course, we always start our segments with basketball. Now, Josh, this is not like any other basketball segment we've had, at least not for a year. We have had, since last week, we started the NBA trade deadline, okay? A lot of big moves happened, Josh. There's a lot of different moves to cover, but I want to start with a team because they did a fire sale, right? A fire sale of trades. So this team, it was the Orlando Magic, and they did 3 trades, Josh, 3 monster trades. Okay, number one, biggest one, they traded Nikola Vucevic to the Bulls and Farouk Aminu, 2 of their starters, for Wendell Carter Jr., former draft pick, Otto Porter Jr., craziest contract in the NBA, in my opinion, like one of the worst, and 2 first-round picks. Okay, that's the biggest one, right? They also traded Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets for Gary Harris, who was one of their big prospects, like him and Jamal Murray, like 2-3 years ago, and RJ Hampton, first-round pick, and a first-round pick from Denver, right? And then the third one, which is not as big, is, I don't know if I'm going to find it, but it was sending Evan Fournier to here it is. Evan Fournier to the Celtics. Evan Fournier to the Celtics for Jeff Teague and 2 second-round picks. So altogether, they traded Evan Fournier, Al-Farouq Aminu, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, and they got back 4 players. 5 players. Jeff Teague, Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr. First round pick, 2 second. Like, what do you think of these? What do you think of this like collective move? Like the Atlanta's just like, screw it, we're out of the race. Let's just trade everyone. They traded 4 of the 5 starters, not including Michael Carter Williams. So what do you think about that? That's crazy.
Orlando blew it up. That's the simplest way to say it. They're trash this year in the record. They really don't have a chance. While they don't get blown out every night, they really don't compete every night. Most of their games they happen to stay in because the other team doesn't exactly play better. It's just that, like Magic are just not that good. Now, with the 3 players they traded away in Vucevic and Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier, I mean, that was the big 3 that really held this core together over the last, ever since whenever they've all been healthy, because I know that they've had trouble staying healthy this year. Gordon's had some problems and Fournier has had some problems. The only one who hasn't had problems staying healthy this year is Nikola Vucevic. And I think that, they shipped him to the wrong place. I don't know. I mean, obviously Otto Porter Jr. is not great, but I mean, with what else they got, I don't know. Maybe they'll hit on some of those draft picks. As for the Nuggets, I think they got the biggest splash because Aaron Gordon is he's an established, very solid player. He does have some trouble staying injured, but he could definitely fill in a role. And yes, they gave up Gary Harris, who is one of their best young players. And I don't know about RJ Hampton as much, but I do know that, Gordon's a veteran on a pretty young Denver Nuggets team. Murray's young. Jokic is young. And by the way, Jokic is having an MVP season on a side note.
I was gonna pull it up, but he just hit another triple double.
Yeah, that's it. I saw.
I'm not gonna pull it. I'm not gonna pull. I'm just gonna say, it was
37 points.
37. Yeah, that's pretty.
Or was it no? Not last night he didn't, but the game before he tore it up.
No, it was last week. It was 28, 15, and 10.
Then never mind.
Magic.
Well then, ironically enough, either way, obviously Paul Millsap. Just to recap on the Nuggets, he's not young, but he's not, all the way on the back end of his career. He's nearing it, but he's not 38 years old. He's not 38, 39 years old where he's running on fumes. So Gordon, I think, comes in and provides a little bit of veteran leadership along with a guy like Paul Millsap. And then they still have their guys like Campazzo and oh man, there are a bunch of guys off the bench now.
I wanted to. This is a separate trade, but it also happened in Nuggets. I'm just gonna pull it up quickly just for you to add your thoughts. So they also traded for Mr. Shackton a fool, JaVale McGee. They traded for JaVale McGee as well. So what do you think about that also? Do you think that makes them the best of the three to trade with Orlando, or do you still think Chicago has, like, who do you think? Like, obviously
Chicago's trash.
Orlando won all these trades, but who won? Who did they win the least against? Like, who had the best, who stayed on their level? Like, who was still, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
not 100%, no.
Like, who?
You're asking me which trade I think was better
Who
for them?
balanced the trade the most? Who was the most balanced trade? Like, who got robbed the least? The Nuggets or the Bulls? Because probably the Celtics did not, in my opinion.
Who got robbed the least?
Yeah.
Probably the Bulls. They got the best player of the three, and Otto Porter. I mean, like, one of the players they gave up in a loan was just like, no. There's at least promise with
the other guys,
Eric Harris and RJ Hampton, especially they're getting a first-round pick out of it too. I mean, like,
that's true. But they gave 2 first-round picks. Chicago gave 2 first-round picks for Vucevic.
Yeah, but like, those are also question marks. You know what you're getting with Hampton and Harris. You have no clue what you're getting with those first rounders, and you know what you're getting with Porter, which is not worth Vucevic. So either way, with that being said, I think the Nuggets made obviously now you throw JaVale McGee, and that's a totally different move. But to say with what they did for Aaron Gordon, they feel that they're in they're a young and up and coming team still, even though they do have a little bit of playoff experience over the last 2 or 3 years. And it's not like they've been, like they've just been eliminated in the first round. Like, they've taken it pretty competitive. What did they go? They were in the semifinals 2 years ago, and then last year in the bubble, I don't know, but I know they were at least a second round team.
So Nuggets?
Yeah.
The Nuggets went to the conference finals against the Lakers. They were down 3-1 against the Jazz. They beat them. They were down 3-1 against the Clippers.
Yeah. Okay. So they did even better. Like, they're a young up and coming team. I'm not saying that they're like the Avalanche, the other team in Denver that's going to have the brightest of futures and become a dynasty over the next 5 to 10 years in basketball. But I'm saying that they're young. Jokic, Murray, and I mean, like, you had Gary Harris before and all those things, but now you bring Aaron Gordon in, who knows how to win. Or I don't know if he 100% knows how to win. I don't know how good the Magic have been over the last couple of years, but he's a solid player, and he's been the backbone of that Magic team, other than Vucevic, for the majority of the last couple of years. And then you also get, you still got Millsap around, who's very serviceable. And now they bring in JaVale McGee. Like, they're set, they're up and coming, and I think this move is going to make them better. And I feel that even though they are still young, they do have a win now mindset to some extent. I don't think they think they're ready to win the NBA Finals. Like, I know everyone, that's their dream, like, everyone's goal is to win the title. But I mean, like, realistically speaking, I don't think the Nuggets are a team that's ready to go to the final this year. I think that they could definitely put up a fight against anyone, but I think, they still have a little
it's some bubble
like another year or two to go for the learning experience before they could say they're an experienced team that's ready to compete at a super, super elite level. They're kind of like the Rangers in basketball in terms of where they are, as like, yeah, they're not ready for like a championship yet, but they are like young enough that, they're not young enough they're young enough that they shouldn't be like, there shouldn't be championship aspirations for this team, but they should feel like they can win at a level that they can make the playoffs, go on a run maybe and get experience. That's kind of like what it is. And definitely bringing in Aaron Gordon and JaVale McGee helps. As for the final trade, Evan Fournier, I mean, like, the Celtics have just been like okay, let's put it this way. The Knicks have been the most pleasant surprise, I think, to all of the NBA, and like for themselves, they went from, what was it, like record-wise last year? I don't know, but they were definitely like a bottom.
They won 21 games, and like 3 weeks ago they broke that number. So they already have won more games than last year, and they have like 20 games left. So that's already great.
Yeah, I'm just like, what was their record last year before the break?
Like 21 and whatever that is to 82. Like 50.
They didn't finish the season though.
Oh, okay. So it was like 70 games, right? So 21 and 40, I guess.
Okay, so the point is they were not good and they were trash. And look, I mean, right now they're what, the 4th or 5th seed in the NBA in the Eastern Conference right now. Like, I know
Yeah.
they're only a game over 500, but look at what they've done. That roster has not changed like in a very significant way. Like, you still have Randall, you still have Bullock, you still have Barrett, who's having a breakout year, by the way, definitely better than his rookie year, way more consistent. You brought in Alec Burks. No one thought he was going to be playing the way he's been playing so far. You brought in Nerlens Noel. No one thought he was going to be playing the way he's been playing this year. Robinson, when he was healthy, was tearing it up. And then you've also had some nice roles filled in early in the year with Kevin Knox and Austin Rivers. And then after they started playing less, because guys like Derrick Rose got brought back in along with Taj Gibson, you also had guys step up from a rookie role like Emmanuel Quickly come in and just light it up. Like, he's the least talked about rookie, I think, for rookie of the year. But
He probably deserves it the most.
I don't know if he deserves it the most, but like, I think that he should gain a little more recognition.
Maybe not definitely top 5. Definitely
I'd say top 5. Whatever. We're not here to argue about the Knicks. Okay, I'm saying, like, while they've been the most pleasant surprise in the NBA, the Celtics have probably been the most. I don't even know like what word to use. Like,
meh.
They were what, like a top 5 team in the East last year, and are they even in the playoff picture right now? Like, they're that bad, and they have
Which is why they traded for Fournier
and Jaylen Brown both tearing it up. I know no more Kyrie Irving, but like, they didn't have him last year either. And like, like, they just, no more Gordon Hayward, no more who was the other guy? Holy crap. I don't know. This proves how much I followed basketball before, but the bottom line being that the Celtics have probably been like the most disappointing team in the NBA so far compared to last year. And I don't know, like, Evan Fournier is a solid player. And I think that while he hasn't necessarily won a ton in his career, similar to Aaron Gordon, like, he's a solid player, knows, he's going to play very, very strong and solid basketball. He's a good shooter, he's a big guy, fights for rebounds. And he does a little bit of everything. He's a pretty solid defensive player too, although I wouldn't say it's his strongest asset. So I don't know. Maybe maybe he needed a change of scenery. Maybe the Celtics just need a little bit of a change in scenery. Oh, and Kemba Walker was the other guy I was thinking of in Boston.
Kemba Walker.
I wasn't totally off, but either way, with that being said, I don't think the Celtics got robbed the most out of the 3. I definitely think it was probably the Denver Nuggets.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
A lot more moves to talk about, but just quick tangent because we don't talk about this guy enough. I just gotta give him props. Look at the last 3 games of Russell Westbrook. Just look at these stats. Look at this. Look at this beauty. This is insane, man. Triple-double last 3 games at least. Like, that is amazing.
Yep.
I mean, like, what could you say about this guy? Do you think do you think a guy that plays like this deserves to be MVP? Because 3 years ago he played just like this, averaging a triple-double, broke the record, and that got him MVP. Or do you think that other people are just on another level right now and he's just not in the conversation for him?
I think other people are on another level. He's he's still a very talented player, and he's still proving that, despite him still aging, and, he's not exactly right in the middle, he's in the middle of his prime, nearing the end of his prime of his career, but he's definitely not the player he was 5 years ago. At the same time, still a very solid player. I think he's still a top 5, a borderline top 5 point guard in the league. So I don't think he's worthy of the MVP this year. I mean, like, Lillard's been carrying his team, and he's missed a game or 2, but that's because of, nothing too serious, went to COVID protocol for a couple of days, but I believe he's either already out or will be coming out in a day or 2. And that was with CJ McCollum out also. Like, he was having an insane start to the season before he fractured his foot. And Lillard, somehow that team got better without McCollum because Lillard stepped it up to another level. He's still playing like that. So I think Lillard's up there in terms of the MVP for point guards. So is Stephen Curry. But those 2 guys, no offense to Westbrook, have been on a completely another level. And then the other 3 guys, if I had to put in the race, would probably be Embiid, Luka Doncic, and obviously, like, Nikola Jokic is the front runner right now. There's not much of a question there. Westbrook is not too far out of the race. It's just not on the same level as those 5 guys. But yeah, moving on. You have another trade you want to talk about, Joey?
Oh, I got a few. So let me pull them up. I got to this one. I want to know what you're thinking about because this involved our team, but it wasn't so big because we were not the main. It was a three-team trade, which don't happen all the time. But basically, we gave up.
Well, you know what
Austin,
happened the last time there was a 3-team trade, right?
you mean Mello?
No, James Harden became a net.
That's true. But no, it was not on that level because usually when there's three-team trade, usually there's like two main people and there's a third team. I think we were the third team in this case because look at this. We traded Austin Rivers to the Thunder, right? Austin
Yep.
Rivers. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. George Hill went to the Sixers. George Hill was the only really good player on the Thunder, like him and Shea. So George Hill went to the Sixers. We sent Rivers to the Thunder, and we got some random people. I forgot who they were, but like I don't know if it's gonna say here. Uh, I don't think it's gonna say, but we got some two random prospects. What do you think about this, man? Like just like giving up Austin Rivers, you think like it doesn't matter because he didn't play so much?
Nah,
Did you think it's gonna happen at the beginning of the year? A lot of people said he was big trade bait, him and Alec Burks. I'm like, I don't know.
well, Burks has proven that he deserves to play a very big role with the Knicks this year. He's proven that. He's brought in solely as a depth guy, but now with Alfred Payton, Emmanuel Quickly, and Derrick Rose, seeing time out of the lineup for various reasons, whether it was injuries, COVID protocol, personal reasons, whatever it was. And now all three of them are finally back. You saw Alec Burks really step up and play the point guard because even though he's more of a shooting guard or small forward, they had him play because of his ability to still dribble and move. It was highly superior to almost anyone else other than Julius Randle, but they weren't going to have both those guys. They're not going to make Randle play the point guard. It's just totally out of his nature compared to the forward position or the center that he would.
You don't make a guy switch positions.
Yeah, not with a guy like Randall. Burks has a little more versatility, I think, to each guard position. So it's a different story with him. With that being said, he proved that he deserves a top role with the Knicks, whether it's exactly sixth man or seventh man, because Derrick Rose also has been spectacular since returning to the Knicks in his second stint with them, or if that's even a starter role with Alec Burks. With maybe they don't want to go with Reggie Bullock to start every night, even though whatever. Like you can't complain. He's been excellent for the Knicks.
Do you think he should be Burks?
I think they should re-sign him. I think that he's having a very
start?
strong. I don't know if he would necessarily start if they have the same core around, but whatever. Regardless of that, as for Austin Rivers, I mean, he only came in like the second or third game of the season because I don't think he was on a team to start the season. The Knicks signed him to a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, if I have that correct.
I actually think it was just 1 year, but I could be wrong.
Oh, 1 year. Okay, so maybe could be that too. But with that being said, he said, he wanted to come in, and even though the Knicks don't look like they have much, keep in mind this was only like a game or two into the season. He said, I want to feel like, we're going to play hard and that, we want to make it that the Knicks are not a guaranteed win like everyone might be thinking coming into the season. Because everyone says, like on camera, yeah, like, okay, they're a team and we still have to respect the fact that they're in the league. But you know what happens behind the scenes. They say everyone laughs at them and says, oh, they're the Knicks. They're trash. They have the worst record and didn't even get the first overall pick, yada, yada, yada. Not even second, like all those things. And what happens? I mean, like now look at what they're doing.
They're clowns, because we beat the Jazz, the Celtics, the Raptors.
I know this is going to sound very stupid. Like, I don't know if it's actually true, but from what I would have to guess, I think the Knicks are the only team that hasn't lost to the Jazz. And it's not because they haven't played. It's because they played them once. But, hey, it wasn't like a fluky type of win. Like, that was a strict comeback which Austin Rivers had a big part in, by the way. I was going to say early on in the season when Rivers was seeing a lot of time, he was playing pretty well. He was effective off the bench. He had some really big and clutch shots down the stretch in games, late in games, most notably that Jazz win where he hit like 3 straight three-pointers, all contested, to bring the Knicks ahead by a couple of points, and they eventually nailed it down defensively the rest of the way, which, by the way, their whole team, not just Rivers was always great defensively when he played, but the whole Knicks in general, I think they're still a top 5 defense statistically this season in the NBA. Regardless of that, shipping off Rivers, he has seen his role reduced quite a bit. He's not seeing nearly as much time as he did in his first couple of games with the Knicks. But the Knicks have started to put it together with the guys they've had playing instead of him. And I feel like for how cold he kind of was, not really seeing anywhere close to the amount of time he saw in the beginning half of the year, I think it was probably for the best. And hopefully, he gets time, because I look, like, I haven't followed much basketball. I've always respected Austin Rivers, though. Like, when he was playing under his father, that's not an easy thing to do. Mike Breen and Clyde Frazier were talking about it on the first broadcast when he came over and said, playing for your father is not something easy. Like, how do you think of it? When he's, like, yelling at you from the court, and then you have to put, the personal relationship aside, other than, like, the player to coach relationship. So it's tough. And, like, when he came over, he did some great things, but I hope that he, kind of, I don't want to say revives his career 100%, because I don't know if it will be, but that he gets time in OKC. They're not a very strong team. And I think that, if he's not going to compete, he at least wants to go out and play and try to prove himself to make, the future of his career better.
Okay. All right. So now we have. So Josh, let's set the stage. I like to do this once in a while. That Raptors championship team, right? I feel like while their starters were amazing, I feel like the reason they won a lot, besides the fact obviously that two of Golden State's players were injured, and we all know if they were not, they would definitely win. But either way, we all know a huge part of them winning was their bench. So who on their bench sticks out to you, Josh? Like, when you think of a player on the Raptors bench, who sticks out?
Yeah, so I know where you're going with this, but the three big names, or I guess the four big names, because one of them alternate with another guy, which is why I'll stick it to four.
Okay, yeah.
The third and fourth will be, like, sometimes starters.
Okay.
Obviously, number one has to be Fred VanVleet.
Right. So who am I thinking of?
I know who you're thinking of. I'll list him last. The 2 and 3 guys, who I'd say, are probably, like, they're all, the other 3 guys are about equal, but Marc Gasol and Pascal Siakam alternate, between 5th, 6th man. Sometimes they're in the starting lineup. Sometimes one of them is. Sometimes both of them are. Sometimes they're not.
Right. And
then the 4th guy I know you're talking about is Norman Powell, who just got shipped off to Portland for none other than
Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. What do you think about this?
Well, the Raptors are 10 games under 500, or last I checked they were, and that was a day ago. So I don't know if they played last night. I don't think they did. So I think they're still around 10 games under 500. And the Portland Trailblazers are playing pretty solid basketball right now. And Norman Powell, a guy who has won a championship in the last 2 years ago, exactly, won a championship 2 years ago with a team that, as you mentioned, definitely, I don't want to say definitely, because, like, you can never 100%, like, give one team the victory. It's just like, like, there's always that, like, 0.1% chance that something stupid happens, like, who knows? But yeah, like, on paper, the Warriors were going to win that series with Durant and Thompson and Curry and Green. And I don't even remember who their center was. They were that stacked. Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins, like, for crying out loud. And the only thing I have to say is that, like, Powell stepped up big time that postseason, especially in the 3rd and 4th rounds of the playoffs. He was huge. VanVleet was huge. So were Siakam and Gasol, as I mentioned, and obviously you had the core with Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard leading the way. So yeah, with all that, Powell was one of those very underrated players that postseason. I think, I'm not going to say in all of basketball, but definitely, like, towards the end when you got it down to 4 or even the last 2 teams, and bringing him into a place like Portland, who was one of those 4 teams left in the 2018-19 postseason. That season, the 2019 postseason, where, they got swept, but they really had a shot in all 4 games. They blew a lead in the second half of 15 or more in 3 straight games. In games 2, 3, and 4, the Trailblazers had a 15-point lead or more in the second half. And all those games they blew. I'm not saying they're deserving. Obviously, you don't deserve to go if you blow 15-point leads in 3 straight games like that. And they weren't, like, super early either. They held them a decent amount of time in. But, like, they were a lot closer than a lot of people have given them credit for. And I think now Norman Powell, I know that they're not the same team. You still got McCollum, though. You still got Damian Lillard. Gary Trent Jr. is gone because now you got Norman Powell. But you got Carmelo Anthony. He's got experience still. He's definitely not the player he was 7 or 8 years ago with the Knicks, or even when he began his career first. But he's still a very serviceable player. Covington's a massive, massive role in that team defensively. I mean, like, he's really stepped up this season after a rough start, both scoring and defensively. And also, I mean, like, you know, the depth guys you have when you've got guys like Derek Jones Jr. I mean, the dude can soar, for crying out loud. And I mean, I don't know. I think Yusuf Nurkic is back. So
They're coming back. Yeah.
he'll be coming back. So that's huge. And yeah, I mean, like, now bringing in Norman Powell, that's going to be huge. I know they also lost Rodney Hood, but it wasn't the worst possible thing that could have happened other than Gary Trent Jr. in their case, you know? So I'd like to see the Portland Trail Blazers make a push. I think they're one of the more underrated teams in basketball. And yeah, I mean, like, I hope it works out. I like Powell as a player. I always have. So, you know, best of luck to them. And I mean, Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood are, you know, maybe they'll provide a spark to Toronto for something, because both of them aren't exactly bench warmers. weren't bench warmers in Portland. So we'll see.
Oh, wait, just the thing about the OKC trade with everything. I just want to point out they have 34 picks in the next 7 drafts, 18 first rounders, 16 second rounders, because they traded Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and many others.
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous. That means if they're not good in like 7 years, just fire everyone, you know?
Yeah.
They just got all the picks ever. Like, it's ridiculous. You know what I would do though? I would use a lot of those picks to trade for a star or multiple stars. Then I could just cheat, you know, I could just take a shortcut and then just like, instead of
Yeah.
you know, I feel like that'd be so much more, but I don't know if anyone would do that. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. 2 more trades, and then we're going into like 4 more things. 2 more trades. I want to know what you think about this. So, all right, Josh, one more setting the stage. Lakers last year, NBA champions, right? We did 2 years ago. Now we're doing last year. Last year champions. Who are the main contributors to the team? Obviously, besides for LeBron and AD, who would you say contributed a lot?
I mean, I personally believe, as if even though he wasn't the player, both these guys weren't the players they were. Rajon Rondo and Dwight Howard were huge for them last year, even on the back end of their careers.
Right. So what do you think about this? The Clippers just traded for Rajon Rondo, and they gave him Lou Williams and 2 second rounders.
Yeah, 2 second rounders, I think, is where the majority of that trade comes in. No disrespect to Lou Williams, but I mean, he's already like 15 years into his career. He's not the youngest guy, but look,
neither of these guys are the youngest guy.
Neither of these guys are the youngest guys, but Rondo, I think, has a little more championship experience than Lou Williams, if that makes any sense. And the Clippers are a team that are, you know, competing for a championship this year. You got Kawhi, you've got Paul George, you've got Serge Ibaka, you know. They're a very strong team. And off the bench, I mean, Luke Kennard and Patrick Beverley are excellent. So it's great to see they're bringing in a guy who has championship experience, and especially very recent championship experience with a team they were competing with before. I don't think Lou Williams is a terrible acquisition back for the Lakers either, though. I think it's a pretty even trade. But obviously, being the fact, I think that you're getting a little more experience with Rondo, you know, in terms of winning later in the season, late in the season when you're making a push for the playoffs, or when you're trying to nail down your spot and clinch the playoffs, or in the playoffs. Rondo brings a little more than Lou Williams. So that's why they're throwing in 2 second rounders. And I mean, the Clippers aren't going to be screwed in the next 4 or 5 years with, you know, like they're in a pretty good spot right now that they don't need to rely on draft picks to really take them to the next level at this point. So I like the trade for both sides. I feel like I could have given a little bit more, maybe like a 3rd or 4th round pick with Rondo, but it's not the worst thing that could have happened for the Clippers. So yeah, I guess we'll see. It's definitely an interesting trade.
Okay, 2 more trades and then we'll do the signings. Okay, so I'm not gonna do setting the stage. Let's just do it. So JJ Redick out of the Pelicans, got sent to the Mavs.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. What do you think about that? Do you
I
think
think
they?
the Mavericks feel similar to the Nuggets. They're a young and up and coming team. Porzingis has never really put it together because he's never really been able to stay healthy. Now that he's back, he hasn't had trouble staying healthy since coming back from his injury. When he started the season, Luka Doncic, I already thought, he's a top 5 player in basketball right now. And I mean, you've got some other guys with experience, like you've got Tim Hardaway Jr. and you've got, oh my God, what's Johnson's first name? I always forget. Is it
I don't
James
know.
Johnson? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know this team. I don't really care. It's just Luka for me.
Okay, whatever. And then you've also got you got Josh Richardson who can come out and shoot the 3 ball. You've also got Trey Burke. You've got Jalen Brunson. You've got a bunch of guys really, and they have a little bit of everything on this team. You got your big men obviously, and Willie Cauley-Stein. You got Maxi Kleba, who is big man who could shoot the ball also, and Boban Marjanovic. That dude towers over people, even though he's a little bit more of a bench role. But with that being said, James Johnson, there it is.
No, but they traded James Johnson.
Yeah, now you bring in JJ Redick to a team that I didn't see that there. What's it called? Now you bring in JJ Redick, who has experience winning games. He was with the 76ers not too long ago when they were playing against the Raptors in the second round when Philly pretty much went all in. And right before that, he was with the Clippers. And I know they didn't have Kawhi, but they still had Paul George at the time, and they had DeAndre Jordan in his prime. So, I mean, and Blake Griffin in his prime. So they were a pretty solid team back then, too. He knows what it takes to win. And I think that even though the Mavericks aren't exactly a top-tier team right now, they definitely have pieces that they can make the playoffs and, try to make a run. And at the trade deadline, they're not super far out of a race. I think that bringing in JJ Redick was a pretty solid move. I think he needed a change of scenery because he wasn't having a terrific season with the Pelicans. And despite them being a fun team to watch, they were not a great team record-wise. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, so we're gonna do 2 signings, but before we're getting the last trade. This is my favorite one. This is I feel like this one is huge, but you let me know what you think. The Miami Heat, the reigning Eastern champs from last year, traded for Victor Oladipo. They traded for Victor Oladipo and they gave up Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and the swaps of their first-round picks. What do you think about this, Josh?
Miami's trying to get back into the playoff race. They're not, they're in it right now, but they want to be more than just kind of in it. They want to be a solidified seed, and they just haven't been this season because they've been a super streaky team. So, look, you're adding a very, very solid shooting guard, or I don't know if he's a point guard 100%. What is he? Is he a shooting guard, or does he play
shooting guard?
Yeah,
Small forward, one of those.
Who's going to play with guys like Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. And it's kind of scary thinking about it because Miami wasn't such a bad team before. Kelly Olynyk was a very underratedly good shooter for a big man. And Avery Bradley, I don't really know that much about him, but he's still serviceable. And he's a guard that they're getting. I mean, he's a guard that Houston's getting because they're giving up, a guard. So I guess we'll see where it goes. And I think Kelly Olynyk is going to help the Rockets now in terms of where he's going because Christian Wood is having trouble staying on the court with health reasons. So we'll see. I like that. And I mean, yeah, I don't want the Heat to beat the Knicks, but I certainly think that the Heat are still a little more deserving of a playoff spot than the Knicks right now. So,
Okay, I hear you.
we kind of make things right.
Right. And
so, yeah, I've always respected Oladipo though. I feel bad he's had trouble staying healthy, and he's getting swapped around all over the place. Hopefully he finds a home in Miami. And
here's the thing: he is set to be an unrestricted free agent this summer. Do you think this was a good move because knowing that they might not be able to make him stay? And do you think the Knicks should go after him if he wants to leave?
Very possibly. I mean, there were talks about Oladipo and the Knicks in the trade deadline, but obviously they didn't pursue that. So maybe he will. I don't know.
I'm not against trades. I feel like trades though should be the last resort. I
Yeah.
really do. I feel
I mean,
like
it depends. It depends. Like, for example, I mean, like different sport, but it's like the most obvious. Like when the Red Sox and Mookie Betts were going to part ways, like it didn't make any sense for them to keep him around because they weren't going to pay him and like not be able to win. They'd rather like have rebuilt the entire thing, and they got their first round picks and they got a very highly rated prospect and they sent Betts to a team that's like competing, like they
right,
don't.
but let's say like they did not have a good right fielder and they want to trade for a right fielder. But
Oh,
what,
then like,
what
okay,
if the
that's
next
something
year?
else.
But they already did have one. They had Cody Bellinger, right? So that's I
Right.
don't think that. And second of all, like, what if they do that and they have a bad player at that spot? What if there's an amazing free agency in just a few months? There's an amazing free agency. 5 of the top 10 right fielders are available. You know, like I just don't think it's worth it to trade for right fielder when in a few months you will get them without having to give up anything. You know,
It depends how you look at it.
like in
Maybe
baseball this year, like trading for a shortstop, I don't feel like is the best idea because Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, Yavi Baez
okay, look, we'll get into that with baseball.
are
We'll get
all
into that.
going to be well, yeah. So, but the point is, I don't see it because usually these players are a rental, and you got to give up so much for them. You know, so it's just like I don't know. Anyway, so and then the last two things I want to talk about: two players from two different teams got released, and they signed with two teams, with two different teams. Okay, the first one I want to know. By the way, I want your honest opinion on both of these. I personally think one's a lot better than the other, but I want your thoughts. So, LaMarcus Aldridge got released by the Spurs and signed with the Brooklyn Nets, and Andre Drummond got released by the Cavs and signed with the Lakers.
Okay.
So
Well,
what do you think about this, Josh?
all
I
right.
think one of these is clearly a lot better than the other, but what do you think?
I really hope we're thinking the same way, but I think that Drummond's a lot better for the
Yeah,
Lakers
obviously,
than the
I
Nets.
think both
Okay,
the
yeah. Just
players
want to
are
get
not.
that out of the way.
Yeah. I think both
Aldridge
the
is still a
players are not the
serviceable
same,
player.
but I think both players are
Yeah.
not the same. But I still think Drummond still has a lot of value left in him. You
Yeah.
know?
Aldridge to me is not the same player. I don't think to anyone he's still the same player,
Yeah.
but I think he's still serviceable. And the Nets are, they've proven they're willing to get older, to get experienced, and so they can make a push because they brought in Griffin, who's still not the same player he was, but he's still serviceable. They brought in DeAndre Jordan a couple, not too long ago either, but that wasn't in the middle of this year. But still, he's got experience. He's on the back end of his career. And now LaMarcus Aldridge, who's not the same player he is, but also knows how to win. So with that being said, it was a good move for the Nets, but it's not as big as this one with Andre Drummond going to the reigning champions, the Los Angeles Lakers, because playing without LeBron right now, they need someone to come in and fill a role, especially with the fact that part of the reason that makes Anthony Davis so deadly as a Laker is the fact that he has another like second guy to work with who could be just as deadly in LeBron James. Not could be. He is, if not better than Anthony Davis, like right now. Because James is still, he's going to be the greatest player of this generation. Some would argue the greatest player of all time. And like he's still doing it at age, 35, 36, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's out now and I feel bad because as much as he killed the Knicks as a member of the Miami Heat, I respect the hell out of LeBron James. I don't know how anyone can't. And, him being out right now, the Lakers aren't a trash team without him. They still got Anthony Davis and they brought in Marcus Saul earlier, but LeBron is that, he's the force that drives that team. He's the force that drives any team he's been on. He's always been. Bringing in Andre Drummond's going to help him a lot. Drummond hasn't been playing a ton this season. He has had some injury problems. He's dealt with a COVID protocol and everything. And then there was the buyout. But look, there's any place that anyone wants to go to revive their career or to get back into the swing of things, it's New York or it's Los Angeles. And New York didn't get him, and I think that it would have been a better move for the Knicks because they lost Mitchell Robinson probably for the rest of the year. And as good as Noel and Gibson have been, I don't think that they'll be – who knows? I hope they will. I think that they have shown they'll be ready to make some strides, but I don't know if they'll be ready for the full push, especially if they make the playoffs. But, I'm not going to count them out yet because they've been proving me wrong all season. But Drummond definitely would have helped them. As for the other place, it's Los Angeles, and the Clippers didn't need him. They weren't going to go get him, and the Lakers took him in. So now they've got Gasol, Harrell, and Drummond. So, like it's going to be crazy.
I mean, I can't be surprised. It's just like you can't say no to LeBron and Anthony Davis. You just can't. Because I don't know, like it's not bad, right? Because like it's not like he like went out of his way. Like they let him go. He can go wherever he wants.
He didn't try to get released by them. Like it just
exactly.
happened. And I know you can't say no. I know you can't say no to LeBron and AD and Los Angeles, but like you want to say no to the world's most famous arena and the best sports market also in the world. I'm sure it wasn't the easiest decision on his part, but like I'm sure it was a lot easier than we're probably making it sound. Either way.
But definitely he should have he probably considered it. It's just that like they just won the championship, It's just
right. It's like Bauer to the Dodgers or Mets. Like you're getting the Mets an up and coming team. The Knicks are an up and coming team playing the best sports market. Yeah. And they had something to offer. MSG is the world's most famous arena, and the Mets have the richest owner now. But like the Lakers just won the championship, and they're not that much worse than New York in terms of the sports market. And the Dodgers just won the World Series, and they're not much worse than New York in terms of a sports market either. So whatever, we'll see where it goes. I hope he does well with Los Angeles and helps them bounce back a little.
Okay. Right. All right. So now I think we're done with basketball. Everything. You want to do some stuff in baseball? I'm just gonna cover some quick stuff. 3 things in a row. You just tell me what you think. Some extensions from players: Lance McCullers, Randy Dobnak, and Salvador Perez. 4-year extension, 5-year extension, and 5-year extension. $85 million, $9.5 million. And it doesn't say how much.
No price.
72 million. Okay.
Oh, 72. Okay. So we'll start with Perez because he's right here. Salvador Perez is a top 5 catcher in baseball. He battled injuries in 2019. In 2020, he came back and he didn't skip a beat. Still has a cannon of an arm. Still hits the baseball as well as any catcher, almost any catcher in the MLB. And he is one of the only good things the Kansas City Royals have going for them. He was a huge part of that World Series team. And I know they're 6 years removed from that year. But with that being said, he's still great. And, I like him. I've always loved Salvador Perez. He was once my favorite catcher. Like just the cannon he possessed 5 years ago. And obviously having surgery, he's, it's not easy to get back into the swing of things, but look, he's still a very, very solid defensive catcher. So I like it. Good move by Kansas City. Now only if they could be a better baseball team, then it would get.
They won the World Series like a while ago, so I guess they're still riding that high.
Yeah, but they're not good now. They have
2 great outfielders in Soler.
They have some really exciting players, but they don't. They just don't.
They're not good. They're not good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
As for next up, let's go with the smallest, the 5-year extension, but the smallest price tag. Randy Dobnak. The Twins are a good team.
Yeah.
The Twins are a very good team. And their pitching is solid. So definitely keeping it around, and maybe it'll draw some eyes. And yeah, I hope he does well. I like the Twins going forward this year, but again, they're gonna have to prove themselves in the playoffs, which they just haven't done over the last. I don't even know how many games it's up to. I think it's 18 games at this point, or something like that they've lost straight.
Playoff games, yeah, 18.
Yeah, that's crazy, and yeah. So anyway, that does it for Randy Dobnak. As for Lance McCullers, what's not to say? He's electrifying. He's got, he's a great pitcher. I know he was part of that team, but he's a pitcher. So how much he had to do with that scandal, I don't know. And, he's also got a very interesting personality. He tries to lead in the clubhouse. He's a very lively personality, and he gets his team fired up and he tries to lead. He does a lot for the Astros. I think he's one of the more underrated pitchers in baseball, not just on the Astros, especially with guys like Zach Greinke and Justin Verlander on this team. But with that being said, I like him. Still throws gas. He could hit the high 90s. Not hitting 100 anymore after Tommy John surgery. But I mean, look, I don't think it's that much an overpayment. I mean, like, what is this? Like 15? No. What's 85?
I'm not the math
I
guy.
think it is 15 million here. I'm gonna double check. Oh wait, 5. What is this?
I think it's 15.
No, it's not. It's not.
Hold
That'd
on.
be 75. It'd be 75. Okay, so it's probably around like 17,
17.
17, 17 million a year. 17 million a year. Okay. I mean, like for 5 years, not terrible at all. And look, I don't think that's an overpayment. I think because he's one of the more underrated pitchers, 17 million is, right around where he should be getting paid, at least in my opinion, and hope he's able to do something positive with it.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, why don't we just get into your topic, Josh? Because
Yeah, so I mean, just we want to recognize first that at the beginning of this topic, it's not going to go very long. It's a pretty short debate. We're not going super long on baseball, but opening day is tomorrow. And Joey, just before we get into my quick topic, what are your thoughts? Are you excited to get baseball back again, like in the real season?
well, first of all, so it might be that opening day is tomorrow. Yeah, it is tomorrow. So I remember a year ago, I don't know when we started this thing, but I just remember having conversations like, is baseball dead? Because I remember all these fights about contracts, right? Remember, like, how are we gonna do contracts? How are we gonna have a season? Blah blah blah, you know? And it was like so annoying because like I don't care about these whole player owner fights, but I'm just like the players are so obnoxious, you know? Because like if it was about their health, like the other sports they didn't want to play, those players were concerned because of the health. But these players didn't want to play because of their contract, because their union is so strong that they have such a crappy relationship with the owners and the commissioner. So it's just like, oh my God, we're not gonna have a season. Baseball's gone. Like it might be gone forever. It might be, or maybe it's just like gonna be like the NHL like a long time ago when they didn't have a season for a whole year in 2005, which is crazy. Just think about that, a whole season. So like, thank God they did it. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I was hoping it was gonna happen, and it did happen. 60 games, it wasn't a lot, but at least I got something. You know, it made every game more valuable. But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad we're having baseball. I'm glad we're having a full schedule or as close to a full schedule. I'm happy. Look, it's going to be a great season, man. Now they already have done a season with the virus, so now they are more used to it. I think we're gonna have a lot less outbreaks. Hopefully, we're gonna get through this. Yeah, that's all I can say. I'm excited, man. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, like, Joe, you're a Yankee fan. You've always had reason to be excited the last 4 to 5 years when they've been a very, very solid team. And I mean, like, the Mets are turning into they're turning it into a new era right now, the Steve Cohen era, the era without the coupons and hopefully some competent management and ownership. So not hopefully, it's going to be competent management and ownership because they've got the right guys, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thoughts. And then obviously the players that we've talked about so far, and we have talked about this one particular guy, Joey, which brings us right into the thick of things for baseball. But we're going to talk about it a little bit more because there's been this confidence that the Mets are going to re-sign their superstar shortstop they just traded for this past offseason, Francisco Lindor. For those who don't know, Francisco Lindor is arguably the best shortstop in baseball in most fans' eyes, and some fans would go as far, like myself, to say that he is the best shortstop in baseball. However, the past year, and year being 2020 season, which was only 60 games, and any player could get hot or cold for 60 games, we all know, but also towards the end of 2019, he struggled. Now, in spring training, he bounced back. I know people are going to say spring training doesn't count, but for him, he wanted it to count because he wanted to prove that he's not the player. And after admitting that he didn't try his hardest towards the end of 2019 and all throughout 2020, he wasn't working out properly, or he wasn't working out as hard, and he wasn't, he wasn't taking it as serious. I don't know if that was because he thought it was like a fake season or whatever. He openly admitted that he was willing to admit what he did wrong. And, now he's brought it back and he likes New York. He's been saying, little by little, it's getting easier for him there. He loves the guys. He's already a leader in that clubhouse. But the one thing he hasn't done, which was the one thing everyone thought was going to happen about like 2 or 3 weeks into his trade and his time with the Mets, is that he was going to sign a contract extension. Now, most people would go as far to say he's worth at least $300 million in a 10-year span. So, Joey, before I ask you this, I'm just going to break this down real quick. I don't know if you've been following with all the specific numbers to the updates. So there have been 3 stages of the offers that the Mets have brought, and there have been 2 stages that Lindor has brought as counteroffers. So the first offer was the Mets making an offer to Lindor, and this was about 2.5, 3 weeks ago when they reportedly offered under $300 million, just under. So that's anywhere from about, reporters said anywhere from an estimated guess of about $290 to $295 million for 10 years. And Lindor made a counteroffer with $300 million, with well over $300 million for the same 10 years. The Mets then made another offer, and they rose it to exactly $300 million for 10 years. Francisco Lindor, once again, I believe, lowered the number. It's never been specified how much up until the last one he made. 3 offers on each side, by the way. Pardon me, not 2 for Lindor. And Lindor countered again with a number over $300 million, but not as high as the last because he realized the Mets were willing to come up a little bit. The most recent offer was as follows. Just a couple days ago, Mets offering Francisco Lindor 10 years at $325 million. Francisco Lindor with a counter offer, I believe. I don't know if it was him, his agent, or if it was a reported potential counter offer that Lindor has requested 12 years at $385 million. And yesterday, Steve Cohen tweeted out, or maybe 2 days ago, he tweeted out, Lindor is a heck of a player, and I really hope he decides to sign with us. I'm not going to get into that so much, but Joey, we're talking about arguably the best shortstop in baseball here with the best sports market and the richest owner in baseball and a team that's up and coming if he stays and could very well be a World Series caliber team in the years to come if he does decide to sign with them, and maybe even this year if some things go right for them. So what do you think? Is he going to sign? Is he not going to sign? How much do you think he's worth? And yeah, let's hear it.
It depends, man. There's 2 scenarios. Either he wants that money and that contract so bad that he's like going to be like a huge dick and just be in holdouts forever. And I don't think Steve's going to budge, man. He's a good businessman. Good businessmen just don't like just burn and piss on money. They just don't do that, you know? Yeah, you know? Also, like, or he could just take one of their offers they offered him and he could be a Met for a while, you know? But I think it's kind of obnoxious to ask for a 12-year contract. I don't think.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't think a lot of players deserve a 12-year contract. You know, I think it's very annoying, unless like they're in your system and they're very young. Like Tatis, that kind of makes sense to me because the dude's super young. I think he's
22. He's 22 years old.
Yeah,
he's
like,
a year older than you. Like, come to think of it.
I don't put it like that, but yes, he is. He's very young. Okay, so that makes sense, right? And Trout signed it when he was much younger also, you know? But Lindor's already 27. You want to sign a 12-year contract? You're insane. And 385 is a lot, man. You're definitely worth 300, but 385 more? I don't know, man. I think I go like 330, maybe 350. 385, that's a lot of money just for one guy. Like, I know there's no salary cap, but come on, man. There's a luxury tax. Like, you could put like, I mean, I guess you don't have to pay anyone else that, but don't you guys have to pay Conforto too? Like, you're like, come on, like, what are you doing, Lindor? Like, the worst part is like he thinks he has all the leverage, but he doesn't. Yeah, you traded for him, but then again, you don't really have to trade. You didn't have to trade for him in the first place. Technically, if you really wanted to, and you still can, you could just wait till the end of the year and you could get Trevor Story, Carlos Correa, Javi Baez, Corey Seager, and I forgot who the last person was. Five amazing.
It was Lindor. He would be the 5th guy.
No, there was another guy, I'm pretty sure. But whatever, yeah. Like, you could have gotten any of these guys in free. Like, I don't know, like
Marcus Semien would have been the guy, but
right. I'm saying, but like, think about that. You could get Trevor Story, who's if not the best, right? You think Lindor, he's definitely second, third up there. Like, come on, dude had an amazing 2020. I think, and I know the cores and I know 22, but still, like, the dude's great, you know. You know?
I mean, the Coors effect doesn't change
huge bargain.
defensively.
You get a huge bargain with Baez and Seager, you know, because they're not the best of the best, you know.
They're still
Correa, I think he's a scumbag, but you know, he's still a good player, I guess, you know.
He's great defensively.
Yeah, it's like exactly. So like whatever, like you could have just gotten any of those guys, you know. So hopefully it's not a problem. But if it's a problem, like I don't know, then what I would do is I don't know if this is like professional or not, but I would like threaten him, like, you know, we have your rights for the rest of the year. Like we could decide where you go and stuff like that. We could send you to the minors, or I don't know, or we could bench you. Like I'm not saying they should do that, but like maybe just like, you know, like empty threat him so that like he's like pressured to sign. Because otherwise, I don't know why he would feel inclined to sign because opening day is tomorrow. And if you're gonna have this problem during the season, that's like one of the worst things you could have. You know, like that's why in football, thank God there's training camp. You know, because training camp, it's not preseason, it's training camp. It's not even before the season; it's before preseason that there are holdouts. You know, so it's taken care of way before. Way before. This is opening is tomorrow. So get your act together, Lindor. I don't know. You're definitely worth a lot, but I don't know if you're worth that much, man. I don't know.
I'm just gonna remind you, you're talking about baseball with a basketball hat on. That's first of all. Second of all,
I forgot to switch. My bad.
yeah.
Sorry.
Second of all,
Catch. Okay.
yeah. Second of all, as for so that's what you think, and let me ask you right now. So your specific deal would be what for him? Years and numerically for the money.
I think I go here. Hold on. I'm not a math person, so just give me a second.
It doesn't have to be an average, just like how like about.
No, I know. No, because it's all about AAV. He probably wants the highest AAV. So
I don't think he wants the highest AAV necessarily.
he just wants the years, you're saying?
I think most of them, because I think what they were saying last night on a report was that most of the money is actually going to come on the back end of the contract.
Why don't you just make it the high AAV now so that there's less? If you do less years, you can upload instead of offloading, you could front load it the money, you know?
Yeah, look, I think he wants to stay in New York longer than 10 years personally, but he doesn't want to not get paid for that. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, I need to do the math.
Look,
here.
if $10 million, not 10, if $300 million.
He wants 30 a year. He wants 30 a year for 12 years. Okay, so.
That's $340 million.
Oh, I did that wrong? Sorry.
You're saying 12 years?
85 divided by 12 is 32, it says. 32. Is that wrong? Did I do that wrong?
385 divided by 12. You want me to check that for you?
No, I just put that in. But did I put the wrong numbers in? It's 385 for 12 years. It says 32.08333.
Yeah, that's average.
Well, it's 32 a year. So this is a little hard, but I'm trying to think here. What would it be if I did this? I think he'd rather. This is what I would do.
It would be like $300.
No, I got it. I would do this. I would do $350 million for 9 years. That's an average of $38 million a year. I think that's a much better deal for him just as a player. That's a much better deal for the Mets. And I think like if he gets worse, like at least he gets most of his money like up front, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. I like
that's
that.
A much better deal. I can just play GM right now. That's a much better deal by far. Yeah, you're paying 6 more, but you only have him under contract. You have him under contract for 3 years less. Like that way, when he's going to get worse when he's older, you're not going to be stuck.
Right. And also though, Joey, like I'm not saying it wouldn't be unlikely, but we're assuming he's going to get worse also. Like there are still players
every player will get worse. That's just how it is.
Every player will get worse. Like I'm sure like maybe defensively, but offensively, there's still guys who are proving they could do it.
Obviously Nelson Cruz, but you think you're going to put Lindor your DH when he's valuable?
I mean, like, no, I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Whatever. So that's what you think. You say 9 years at $350 million.
I mean, I like that. I don't think he's worth 385. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Okay. Whatever. You have your opinion. So what I'm gonna say.
I know what you're saying. If I get it. He's the best. Like, but even the best of their position, I wouldn't give that money to, man. Like, come on, that's Mike Trout money. Do you think Lindor's on the level of Mike Trout? I don't think at all, man. That's crazy.
I don't think so, but I don't think I think he has the right. I mean, like, it's not like he's asking.
I know what you're saying, man. But But come on, man. Baseball is a team sport. You just can't.
Okay, well, look. I mean, like, whatever. We're not gonna get into that whole debate right now. For like the thing, it's about Lindor. That's what this part is about. Okay. Because the deadline he said was opening day, and it really seems like he's serious about keeping that. And I was a believer the whole time. I thought this entire time, like, look, he wants to be serious about this. He's taking spring training seriously. He's negotiating seriously, and he wants to take this season, even if he doesn't get re-signed right away or even at all seriously, because he knows what he brings to this team and where they will be with him. So, look, we know what they've got. The Mets aren't going to lose this trade even if they don't re-sign Carlos Carrasco because they're still getting a qualifying pick. So one way or another, they're going to have a shortstop. And even if they want to bring Ronnie Mauricio up, who's shown strides in spring training, but because they have Lindor, they want to start him in the minors. And I don't blame them. Why the hell would they want to bring him up when you have arguably the best shortstop in baseball? In my opinion, he is the best shortstop in baseball in your team. Like, what? It's just like, why? Why would you want to do that? And if not, as you mentioned, they will go out next year if Lindor doesn't sign with them, and they'll pay Correa, or they'll pay Story, or they'll pay Seager, or they'll pay Baez. It's going to be one of those guys, assuming they're, available, obviously, if not Lindor. Or maybe they'll just sign Lindor at the beginning of next season. Maybe they'll want to get – I know he's saying, like, that's for an extension. But one way or another, like, no one can offer him a contract when he's with the Mets. Like, he is their player. And in free agency – if the Mets want, maybe they'll offer him a contract if he really likes what happens this year. Maybe he'll willing by the end of this year to take a little less money. So, or to take less years and a little less money, like to average it out, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's
I wouldn't go as far to pay him 10 years at 385. Like, that's crazy. 12 years I could see a little more realistically, but not 10. Definitely not 10. With that being said, I think that the right contract is a little bit different than what you asked. I think that maybe you should go with 10 years, 340. That's what I would give him. That's around what I would give him. That's $34 million a year. That's not super crazy. It's a little bit more than 32 point whatever it is with this one right now. It's 2 less years. He's getting a little more money. I don't think it's about but he openly said it's not about the money for him. He said, I'm not built. He said, I'm not financially built. I'm championship built. Like, that's what he wants. He said, all I want to do is win. This was with the Indians. This was before the Mets. This was before, this was back in 20.
He had a chance, man. He had a chance.
He had a chance. Look. So anyway, that would be my call. I'd give him 10 years, $340 million, same number as what Tatis got, 2 less years. 4 less years. He's not as young, cuts it out. And look, I hope that they keep him. He's my favorite player in baseball. He has been ever since 2017. So it's not even just he's on the Mets. Like, imagine how much even crazier. Like, now my favorite player in all of baseball, is on the Mets. It's just crazy.
So it'd be like if Nathan McKinnon was on the Rangers.
It's crazy. Like, exactly. It'd be like McKinnon on the Rangers. So whatever, good luck to the Mets trying to sign Francisco Lindor. And I hope Lindor really does sign a contract with him. It should be coming out later today. At the time of recording this, it's still fairly early in the day than when they said they were going to try to finalize something, whether they would sign or not sign him, because I don't think it's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, the mindset's going to be all about opening day. So we'll see. Best of luck to both sides. And yeah, let's get a deal done. And anyway, that does it for baseball. So let's move on to football, Joey.
Yeah, so we got a good chunk of stuff for football, man. Some free agency, not as big as last week, obviously, but let's just get started, So, a lot of these are going to seem kind of random, but whatever. I just want to talk about them because these players, I always think about this. Let's just do one quick one. Re-signing Seahawks, who had one of the worst defenses for sure. Re-signed Carlos Dunlap. What do you think about that?
Helps. They're not a great defensive team, not the defensive team they were a couple of years ago, and it definitely helps. There's nothing more to say. That offense is elite. That defense still needs help, and it's kind of like what the Mets did with Marcus Stroman. That pitching got worse. They offered him a qualifying. He accepted, even though he was on their team before. He was a free agent. Bringing a player back always helps. Same thing with Carlos Dunlap. Bringing a player always helps. Their defense got worse without him being, an official player on that team. Now they re-sign him. So, yeah. Also, you got to know, I don't know if you want to close that. I don't know if you're planning on, using the –
No. Next, Rams signed Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to comment on this.
Yeah, I want to see your reaction to that, because that guy,
I'm not going to comment on that. Just no.
That guy, I want to know if you're going to comment on this. If you do, I'll enjoy it. The Bungles signed Giants quarterback, former Giants quarterback Eli Apple. Thoughts on that?
Nope. Don't be silly. Joe.
All right, obviously, I'm not going to pull him up, but Ndamukong Suh re-signed with the Bucks and T.Y. Hilton with the Colts. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, the Colts are going to be a good team, I think, this year. They got a younger quarterback in Wentz, but he's still very shady now, if you ask me. wasn't his MVP caliber season before he tore his Achilles tendon or his ACL during this 2017-18 season with the Eagles. But then again, still serviceable. Maybe a change of scenery is really going to help him take that next leap and become an elite quarterback. He's definitely a fun and interesting player to watch. It's just like, I don't know, but T.Y. Hilton bringing him back is going to help him have a really solid receiver. He can run the slot. He can run the slant. He'll run deep, and he's a speed demon. And then as for Ndamukong Suh, I mean, that Bucs D line got so much better as the season went along. I mean, like, we know what they could do, and they already re-signed Shaq Barrett. They still got JPP under contract for a little bit, and now you bring back Ndamukong Suh. I mean, they're trying to make strides and again push for another championship.
Yeah, also re-signed, if you want to talk about it a little bit, Sean Lee and James White.
Cowboys. Yeah, James White, solid running back, very underrated utility type of guy who could come in, he'll catch the ball, he'll block, he's a pretty fast guy also. He's about, he's also on the smaller side. So he's not an easy target for tackling. So I like that. And as for I'm sorry, I lost the name. Sean Lee. Yeah, I mean, like, he's an elite defensive player. The Cowboys need him to succeed.
Yeah? That's what you mean. Okay. All right. So now I will show you the ones that I think are very significant. Well, actually, I'll do one that I don't know if you know this guy, but let's see if you do. So he was a former wide receiver for the Titans. He signed it was on the Bucs as well. Because of his former quarterback there, he signed with the Redskins. Adam Humphries. I don't know if you know this guy, but
no, of course. I mean,
thoughts?
Solid. I mean, he's only 27 years old. He still has plenty of room to grow. And I know that Washington's not a powerhouse, but they could use help offensively. They could use depth. They brought in Curtis Samuel. You've already got Terry McLaurin. And, they could use it. That's just the bottom line. They could use some who knows? Maybe he needs a change of scenery to really break out and really just step up and try to take a higher role. So I'm hoping for the best from him. I always liked him. I feel like he's never really been given a chance. But like, if he's gonna step up, I hope he doesn't have to do it against like the Giants either. So.
All right. So just a little tangent. So we all know Dan Jones, best quarterback in the NFC East, man. Come on, man. Dak's overrated. They got Fitzception, and now the Eagles got Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I know. That's just like
thoughts.
I respected Flacco as a player. I lost all respect for him when he became a Jet. Like, why would he like?
He's stupid, man.
Does he not have any? Nah, I'm just messing. Like, I love Flacco, but he's not. He's just not the quarterback he once was. He'll be a serviceable backup to Jalen Hurts, who's looking explosive as anything coming into his first season as a starter. So I'm expecting big things from Hurts. But I mean, if Flacco has to come in, maybe, I think they brought him in really for like a mentorship role. That's kind of what I think.
Is he the most overrated quarterback in the last 15 years to win a Super Bowl?
No, I don't think he is.
What do you think it is, Foles?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just always believed in Foles, man. Flacco, it just didn't make sense.
No, Flacco made a lot of that stuff happen.
I mean, I feel like more it was the defense, man. Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, but that's fine.
He was the backbone of that offense.
What about Ray Rice? Okay, sorry.
I'm on Ray Rice for now, but I mean, okay, then who else are you supposed to have the ball throw to? Jacoby Jones, Torrey Smith, and Anquan Bolden. Like, I don't think he was overrated. I think he was underrated that year, if anything, because you had Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Eli Manning, who was actually, insane back. That was like the last.
But he beat
it out. And then you had up and coming guys like Cam Newton. You still had Aaron Rodgers. Jay Cutler was still a very good quarterback back then. Tony Romo was still fantastic back then. So, I mean,
no, but that's the crazy thing. I think he's the only quarterback to beat he beat Andrew Luck. He beat Andrew Luck, Brady, and Peyton Manning. I think.
And then he beat Colin Kaepernick in the Super Bowl. Oh my gosh.
No one gives a crap about Colin.
Yeah.
You had one good year. Just relax.
One good year, fat extension, dumpster fire player now. So long. Let's move on.
Okay, yeah.
And he's a piece of crap also. Like, there's that.
That's just whatever. He's a troll. He's just whatever. He's got butt hurt. He kind of ruined sports in a way a little bit for me. Whatever. Let's just get to these are the 4 signings I think you're gonna love. I think you're gonna have a lot to say about. So I'm gonna tell you all right. I want you to pick. I got cornerback, wide receiver, and 2 running backs.
Let's go with the corner. Let's go with one of the running backs.
Okay. I think I'm gonna do running back, cornerback, running back, wide. That's what I'll do.
Go for it. You pick the order. I just pick one to start with.
The Texans. I told you a few weeks ago they signed Mark Ingram, and you said good signing. Well, they just signed another running back, and it's one you've heard of. What do you? By the way, a little shocking that this team let him go. Philip Lindsay signed with the Texans. What do you think about that?
It's an interesting signing. $3.25 million. Lindsay, 2 years ago had a very, very strong year. Last year battled injuries, but was pretty solid whenever he played. Melvin Gordon being brought in really didn't help his snap count on the field, though. I like this signing. I think that they're going to go for a 1-2 punch similar to what the Saints did when they had Ingram and Alvin Kamara as a rookie, when like Kamara hadn't proven himself as a top 3 running back in the NFL.
Right, and he's playing with Ingram, who's very good at sharing the ball. So
yeah, solid player. Solid player, solid pickup overall. Good move.
Yeah. So Josh, next one. Let's set the stage a little. Los Angeles Rams. Who would you say is their 3rd or 4th best defensive player?
Probably like Michael Brockers.
After that, who would you say?
I don't know.
Okay, fine. Do you know their team well? Who's the second
defense?
Who do you think? Do you know their cornerback is Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey, right?
Do you know any other cornerbacks on that team?
I know they had Akeem Talib.
All right, so they have this guy.
The Ravens. I don't know.
They have this guy who I really like. He had a few good plays. If you
say the name, I think I'll know though.
So this guy left the team and he signed with the Browns, and his name is Mr. Troy Hill.
Yes, I do know him.
So on this 4 years with the Browns, that's $6 million a year. He's going to be with Cleveland, and he's going to play opposite Denzel Ward, who is a big player for the Browns.
I do know Troy Hill. I kind of forgot about it. I wasn't sure if he was a linebacker or not, but that's really weird. Okay, well, brain fart on my part. But with that being said, he's a solid player. The Browns have a very, very solid defense. It gets better with Troy Hill. And I think that they're trying to make strides and become a much better team now. And look, they weren't – I know that the Chiefs were playing without Mahomes late in that game, but the Browns were, 5 points away from knocking off the Chiefs and moving on to the AFC Championship game? That's crazy. That is really crazy to think that. And Mahomes played the majority of that game. Although he didn't close it out, they had a fighting chance. And the defense is really what it came down to in the end of that game. And I think that now they might be ready to take that next step.
Yeah, for sure. And then you just mentioned the Chiefs. They lost 2 of their best players, or at least on their offense, man. So what do you think about this? First one is Damian Williams signing with the Bears, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's interesting. Gives a little bit of backup to David Montgomery, and Damian Williams. We all know he's a pretty solid running back. He was huge for the Chiefs in the 2020 playoffs. So
it's okay. It's okay. And the second one which is a much bigger one, is of course. Hold on, I want to just pull it up. Well, do you want to guess who it is while I pull it up, or do you already know? Or
I think I'm just gonna let you pull it up.
All right. So the Ravens signed from your Super Bowl runner-ups. Oh, hold on, sorry.
We believe.
They signed Sammy Watkins to a $6 million deal.
Oh, okay, fine, okay.
This is big.
Yeah, I mean, this is big. I mean, they don't really have many wide receivers on that team.
Just Brown.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's really it. I mean, like, Sammy Watkins is a very solid player, and he's spent the last couple of years with a very, very, very good team. The last couple of years. I mean, he spent the last 2 years with the Chiefs, or maybe the last 3 years with the Chiefs.
2 years. I think it was 2 years, but I could be
2
wrong.
years. And the previous 2 years with the Rams, who are also Super Bowl caliber. So he knows what it takes to win. I mean, like, it's not that they were Super Bowl caliber and they choked. Like, they made it far in the playoffs every time. He has made it far in the playoffs every time the last 4 years. So Ravens are, on the cusp of being one of those elite teams in the NFL. I think they lack a big play wide receiver. I'm not saying Watkins is. He was when he came up. He's kind of dropped off a little because he's had to fill in a depth role with guys like on the Rams, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, and with the Chiefs guys like obviously Tyreek Hill and Demarcus Robinson, and originally Albert Wilson when he came in, who have all shipped ways except for Tyreek Hill, by the way. So now you get there and, he's basically going to be looked at, I think, as the wide receiver number 1 on this team. But I think it'll work. I think he can make it work. He's worked hard wherever he's gone. And I mean, it's only 1 year. So even if it completely backfires, it's not like they have to worry about him for another couple of years.
Okay. Okay. And then the last one, we got to talk about our Giants because they made some moves. A few little ones and one pretty big one, in my opinion. We didn't talk about it because it wasn't confirmed at the time. So let's bring it up. Here's just small ones. I don't know if you know these players. I don't really know them so well. They signed D-backs Josh Kalu, Chris Milton, and another tight end, Cole Acuity. I don't know if you know any of those guys.
Nope.
They signed from Washington. What? You know them or no?
Well, the big fish was Adoree Jackson. I don't think we.
No, I didn't get there yet. They signed outside linebacker from Washington who had a great defense last year. No one's going to deny that. Ryan Anderson.
Oh, yeah. They signed him. Yeah. No, excellent.
Danny Shelton. They signed Danny Shelton, who was a pretty good defensive tackle for the Browns, in my opinion. And he also played for, I forgot which team he was really good on. The Patriots. Yeah, he was on the Patriots. He was really good on the Patriots. And, of course, we got Adoree Jackson. We finally got him. We have our CB2, man. We have our CB2. Holy crap. We got James Adoree last year. We got Adoree Jackson this year, Josh. I just want to pull up the contract so that you can get a better idea because he's the only one I really care about. Signed a 3-year, $39,000 contract. That means he's going to be $13 million a year, I believe. Yeah, $13 million a year. What do you think about all these moves, Josh? Any thoughts on any of them? Because I think some of them
Giants are pushing,
especially the Jackson one. Yeah,
they're pushing. They pushed the offense. They brought in Kyle Rudolph. He's going to help with the blocking. He's going to be a mentor to Evan Ingram, and they still, whatever. Brought back Dante Pettis. He was huge for them in the end of the season this past season. Bring in John Ross, speed, deep threat, gives you another guy who could also run the slant and run in the slot. And Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard have been established, and obviously the big fish, Kenny Galladay, like that was huge. Then you go out, that's on the offensive side. On the defensive side of things, you bring in, first of all, you re-sign Leonard Williams. Like that was the number one. And yeah, you lost Dalvin Tomlinson, but your secondary gets better because you add Adoree Jackson, and your linebacking core gets better because you add Ryan Anderson. Like this team is trying to make strides. The only wild card at this point for this team is Daniel Jones. And if he can't perform, then F it, get rid of him, draft or trade or just sign a quarterback, because this team I think is ready to compete. It's not being biased. If you just look at the moves they made, and Daniel Jones just better actually be a quarterback and not a run first running back. Yeah, I know. It's not the position.
So based on that question,
what he is, he's a running back who doesn't look to pass. He's a quarterback who only looks to run, really.
So this is my question I asked you last time. I want to know if you have a different answer. Do you have a different answer on who you think the Giants should draft? Like what kind of player they should draft with their 11th pick? Or has that changed, or are you still?
No, I feel like they shouldn't waste on a wide receiver. But then again, that O-line needs help, and they haven't brought anyone in on the O-line 100% yet. So they probably should go with an O-line if they can.
I personally think we should go O-line, Rashawn Slater, or some other guy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that's where we should go, man. I really do. Because otherwise, like, because I think we've addressed literally every single hole except for O-line.
Yeah. I mean,
Quarterback
like, look,
problem?
maybe that was their plan. Maybe their plan is to go after it in the draft.
Yeah, but like you say that quarterback's a problem, but like and he has to prove it because it is last year. But he even though he has a lot of good options now because he has a lot more people to throw to, he's still not gonna get a lot of time if he doesn't have a good O-line. It's just not gonna happen, man.
I know.
It's not gonna happen. So, like, you gotta fix it, Gettleman, now. Otherwise, you're out. Daniel Jones is out. That's it. I think this team is ready to compete as long as we have a good O-line. But if we get a good O-line and Daniel Jones does not perform, then I say we are then a good O-line and a quarterback away from competing. You know? But I don't know. It also is a lot of pressure to just put a rookie. Like, how many rookies, go to the Super Bowl and win? Like, very few. Like Patrick Mahomes, I guess, is one, technically. If we're being honest, I think he really was a rookie. He only played like a game or two the season before. So I consider that being a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, he went to the AFC Championship. But to be fair,
you're right. It was the second year. Same thing.
But
Brady. We all agree he should have gone to the Super Bowl.
Seed.
I
That's
think
the other thing. He was a rookie and his team had the top seed. That's the other.
But we should all
Brady.
But
anyone else he would have beaten. Only Tom Brady would have pulled that win out of his.
But we know that game was. Come on, we know that they should have won the game. But whatever. Still, like even Tom Brady didn't win. In his first year either. Like no one wins their first year. It just doesn't happen. So it would set us back, especially with contracts and everything. The reason why I'm very confident about this team is because they're able to sign all these guys. They're able to sign all these guys while their quarterback's on a rookie deal. If you can do something like that when your quarterback's on a rookie deal, you are set to compete for a very, very long time, because that means the quarterback usually takes a lot of the money, most cap space. So you're paying Daniel Jones like nothing right now. So it's just great. It's a great thing. And then, like, obviously this should have been the last thing to talk about, but since you brought up the draft, I want to point this out because I want to know what your thoughts are on it. The Niners, who've had a very interesting season 2 years ago, runner-ups in the Super Bowl. Last year, dog crap, but then again, lost a lot of good players to injury, including for Jimmy G. They traded up. They had, like, I think number 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I think they had number 12, and they traded with Dolphins, who were number 3. Crazy, by the way. Very high pick for Dolphins. And then Dolphins traded they traded 12-2 and other picks. And then the Dolphins finessed them. They traded with the Eagles for their pick, and they got the Dolphins pick. So the pick that Doug Peter shit, tanked the game for. Remember how like he probably tanked that game to get a higher draft pick? They're not even going to use that pick. So they could have won that game, they could have tried to win that game, and they still wouldn't have a good pick. They would still get a low pick anyway. Like, what are your thoughts on this, Josh? Like, Dolphins geniuses, 49ers going for a quarterback, like Eagles dumb. Like, what are your?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, we already knew the Eagles were dumb, but they're rid of, as you said, Peter, second name, and.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, like the Dolphins, they're in a pretty good spot right now, so they're not dying, I think, for that third overall pick. But it would have been nice. San Francisco, though, I don't know how much they're willing to stick with Garoppolo, and there's a lot of talk about them specifically. Even though, I mean, like it's pretty obvious. I think Trevor Lawrence is going first overall, but it's a little like uncertain who's going second overall and third overall.
A lot of people are predicting for some reason that the Jets will pick, out of all possible quarterbacks, they'll pick Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and a lot of people are now predicting with that Niners are going to take Justin Fields. So
I don't even get that, by the way, that the Jets would not take Fields over. Like Fields beat Lawrence in the semis or whatever.
Yeah,
like dude was in the college football championship.
I don't know.
That's the main reason, but I just think he was good enough on his own. Like the Alabama guy, Mac Jones, he won it, but I don't think you should take him first. I think he will be taken in the first round. I just don't think early. I'm actually like, I don't know if you want to do a mock. Maybe we'll do mock later on when it gets closer to the draft. But yeah, I'm excited for this draft, man.
Yeah. Can't wait to see the Jets F up and yeah, that's about it.
I feel like they would F up with Wilson, man. Like, cause just only reason is because like he plays for BYU, so they don't play like a lot of the big.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah. But whatever. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, I think that brings us to the end of football today. Is that about accurate, Joey?
Yeah. Let me just check my notes. I'm just checking really quickly. Yep. We did it all. We did it all. Okay. Now we're in hockey, and before we do
put your hockey hat on because you put your football hat on right now.
I'm very tired today. Okay. So before we get to Rangers, which I know you want to talk about, especially after last night, God mentioned two types of topics. Okay, so just give me a second. Okay, Josh. So, let me just pull this up. But before I say anything, Josh, remember last year that Mika hit a 5-goal game, right?
Sir, yes, sir.
Now, do you remember that like that obviously was the best single performance, right? But do you remember that like literally a week before Leon Draisaitl hit a 4-goal game? Like, I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that. No.
I guess it got overshadowed by Mika Zibanejad. Okay, so multiple players scored 4 goals, and I want your thoughts on this.
Well, I know one of these guys is going to be, and you're going to be like, oh, how the hell did you know that? I could just tell.
Wait, which one? Tell me the initials of this person.
AC.
Yeah, should we do that one first? Because that one's shocking.
Because like it's the one no one saw coming. Like,
okay,
yeah.
So what the hell? Out of all the people on Winnipeg, you have Ehlers, not Laine, Dubois, Stasny, all those guys. Freaking Andrew Copp, fucking Copp scores 4 goals. Okay, against the Caps. What the hell? What's going on here? Thoughts, Josh?
Not against the Caps, first of all.
Oh, sorry, that was the picture. It wouldn't play the Caps. It's not in the same division. It's Canucks. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, he's a grinder. He's not really much more than a third or fourth liner, but he's a grinder. I respect him. I like his style of play. Not a great scoring touch to his style of play. But, I mean, the Winnipeg Jets could use, like, physicality that he brings to the game. But, I mean, when you got a physical player who pitches in 4 goals, let alone even 1 goal, that's excellent. I mean, like, amazing night for him, and I'm happy he got it. And I just remember the second guy you're going to be talking about. So why don't we head over to Nashville?
Well, why would we head over to Nashville? I'm just kidding. This one wasn't as shocking, but a little shocking, just because who it is, because they still have Forsberg and all those guys. They don't have that many.
And all those guys.
But still, like, Rocco Grimaldi, man.
Yeah, I mean, 4 goals.
Shit.
I watched his 4th goal. That's why it just came to mind. Yeah, excellent young player against Detroit. So if there was anything he was going to get an opportunity to score 4 goals against, no offense, Detroit, this was going to be the team. I hate to say it, but like it's factually proven. Like Detroit's not a very good team.
I mean, yeah, it's not surprising it's who it was against, right?
Yeah, at least they're not as bad as Buffalo, though. So, I mean, like, who cares?
Nobody's as bad as Buffalo, man.
Yeah.
Like, nobody.
Yeah. I feel like, just like real quick, I don't know what you were going to say next, but just real quick, if it's not what you were going to say next, we have to bring this up. Just like, just quick tangent. Buffalo is on the verge of setting, like, a historically bad record for most losses in a row. I think the record's like 21 and they're up to what, like 18 right now or 19 even.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, like I hope they get it, honestly. They were so cocky coming into this year saying we signed Eric Stahl, we signed Taylor Hall. Eichel's going to have an insane year now that he has an elite center to play with. Linus Ullmark is going to be one of the best goaltenders in the future. He still might be, but that team sucks shit right now. So, yeah, that's just it. There's nothing to argue. They suck.
Right. And it's funny you mentioned that because the other thing I wanted to talk about because it wasn't the trade deadline, but it was it's very soon. It was probably the biggest. There were two trades, but I want to do this one first because you just mentioned the Sabres. You know who they traded, Josh? They just traded.
I said it before.
They traded
I
Eric.
mean, I didn't say that they did it, but
They traded Eric Stahl to the Canadiens
yeah.
for a 3rd and 5th round pick. What do you think of this trade, Josh? Is this a big deal for the Canadiens? Did they get a really good player?
Yeah, I think the Sabres got snubbed. That's what I think. Nothing else to say. Just like, nope, screw it. You got snubbed. There's nothing more to say. Eric Stahl is definitely worth more.
What would you say that lineup
I
is
wouldn't
like?
say more than a 3rd and 5th round pick. I would say higher, like higher picks. That's what I'd say.
And then
Like Buffalo's just not a winning environment. We know what he did in Minnesota. So like, I think if you
Right.
bring him back to a more like a, an
that's
environment that
true. That's very true.
has somewhat established themselves, he'll return a little more to form. Because like Sabres just, bro, they're so desperate, and no disrespect, like I love this guy as a player. Dan Girardi is a freaking coach on that team now. Like that's how desperate they are. They have nothing. They fired Ralph Kruger and like they have nothing now. And yeah, like I feel bad for
And
Granada.
because of the lottery, they're not guaranteed to get number 1. So
Yeah, I know. Like I respect the hell out of Girardi, and like honestly, I hope he brings something to that team, like positivity wise. But like, bro, I want them to like just completely blow it up again. Like they have nothing to offer.
does this
That guy's
officially mean?
not even playing right now?
Does this officially mean they're gonna sell? They're gonna trade Eichel like ASAP?
Like I would think so. I think they'd be stupid not to. Like they've tried it for this is the 3rd straight year they thought they had something special and that they thought they could play meaningful games late in the season. Yeah, they'll be meaningful.
It's so funny,
that
by
they
the
don't
way.
set the worst record of all time. Like that's how meaningful it's going to be. It's not going to be so they could get into the playoffs.
It's so funny though. Like Taylor Hall's gonna stay for the year, and they're gonna get the 1st overall because it's Taylor Hall, and then he's gonna leave, and then.
As Utri always says, Taylor Hall finally might have a place to go and win something other than draft lotteries. You know, like the
I
jinx thing
can't
always comes
believe-
back to bite him, and I feel bad for the guy these days.
I can't believe Taylor Hall didn't sign with the Avs. If he'd signed with the Avs, he probably would win.
If he signed with the Avs, I might as well just hand the Stanley Cup over to Colorado right now.
I wouldn't do it now, but I'd definitely do it if that happened. Oh man, I would definitely cause.
I'm saying if he signed with them.
Yeah, I'm saying not now. If he signed with them, I would give him the cup because that team would be so freaking good. And like I know he sucks this year, but I feel like that just might be the fact that he's playing with like no one. So yeah,
And a horrible coaching staff, at least offensively.
horrible everything. It just all sucks, you know. It all sucks. Again, man, it's just funny how Utri made a video 3 years ago about Buffalo teams and how they're both terrible.
Yeah.
No, sorry, they're both mediocre.
Like,
And
Buffalo's-
now one's so good and one's so bad.
Yeah.
All right, and then the other one, which isn't as big, but I'd like to talk about after because it's a homer, and I want to know what you think about it. Is the Rangers trading to the Kings Brendan Lemieux for a 4th round pick? Now, before you say anything, 2 things. 1, this is the second person we've traded this year, and 2, it's been in the same team, the Kings, Elias Anderson and Brendan Lemieux. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or just thoughts on the trade, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Lemieux, I'm surprised it was him of all players. I thought it might have been Brett Howden. I don't know if they did that maybe because they wanted like one less player potentially being drafted, one less player they have to lock up in the expansion draft now because, I mean, like, he's going to be a huge part of that team, though. His physicality is something huge. And even like in depth scoring cases, he's not a scorer, but he goes to the net and he does what a lot of other players really just don't have, like are not accustomed to doing. Like he's got guts of steel. He'll go up against anyone in a scrum. He'll go head to head with anyone with the gloves off.
One of the toughest players in the league.
Yeah, like he'll rip, like he's not afraid to do anything. He's a fearless player. And I think like what's it called? Owen Nyquist, the YouTuber, said it best himself. I think that the NHL needs more players that play the way Brendan Lemieux plays the game. And I mean, I guess his cap situation wasn't like amazing for the Rangers. I mean, they were paying a fourth liner a little over
That's
like
true,
$1 million.
man. They're paying a lot of money for a fourth liner.
Yeah,
You know?
but
Like,
I
think
mean,
about your fourth line now. Think about how cheap everyone is. Phil DiGiuseppe, Kevin Rooney, and Colin Blackwell, who doesn't really need to be on the fourth line because he's
but
playing
he
so
doesn't.
well. He doesn't need to, but he's just a great fourth liner. He's so good for a fourth liner, and Kevin Rooney's great too.
Yeah, he's been. Yeah, I mean, like we'll probably talk a little bit about that stuff. Like either later today or in some future episodes. But with that being said, like Brendan Lemieux, wish you the best of luck, and I'm sorry it had to be LA of all places. Although it's not as bad as it would have been last year, because LA is really turning a lot of heads. They're making moves in the right direction, and we know the future that awaits them with Arthur Kaliev, Alex Turcotte, Quinton Byfield. I mean, future is looking a little bit better in LA than a lot of people might think it is.
Yeah. I mean, just quickly to say, like, in terms of the future, besides the fact that our fourth line is technically set now, it could change and be even better because we have a like we have so many good prospects, right? We have
the only one who's realistically set to come up this season though is
Kravtsov.
Exactly.
Right. But if I had to pick one to come up maybe at the end of the year for a playoff push, maybe, if not next year, it would be Morgan Barron. And that guy would be great for two reasons. One, he's huge. He's like, I'm pretty sure. I think I'm going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure he's 6'5". I'm pretty sure. Morgan Barron height. 6'2", sorry. But still, pretty big. 6'2", and he's a center. Okay? You could not get more value from a player than being a center. Now, think about this as our center core for the next 4 years.
Well, I have a question. Are we moving on to Rangers right now, or
no? We're doing Rangers next. So this is technically not next. We're already there, or we're not there. It doesn't really matter. We're not doing.
Bring it up during Rangers. Like,
we're not doing anything else. We're not doing anything else. It might be like still on Lemieux technically, but we're doing Rangers next or now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So just imagine this is our center core for the next 4 years. Like Mika Zibanejad, Ryan Strome, Philip Hedl, and Morgan Barron. Like a fully untapped. Like I love Kevin Rooney, man, but I don't know how long we keep a player like that on this team. Maybe another year or two. And also with Strome. Strome's like the biggest question mark on this team because he's playing so well, but everyone's giving me the feeling, like all these analysts are giving me the feeling that he's not a type of guy that will stay on this team. Like everyone's telling me he should not stay here, which I don't get. I think he's amazing. I think he's like the backbone of our team. The dude scores without Panarin and all these stars all the time. Like he could score on his own and he's very good. He's very talented, amazing passer. So I'm just
he doesn't like to shoot, but he has a good shot also.
He can score, he can pass, he can do it all, man. He's so good. He's a very underrated player in this league for sure. Like when you're on a team with Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, Buchnevich, like
he's having a breakout year also.
Yeah. So
I mean, like last year we would have said breakout year, but the season got suspended. Now, like he's continuing that hype. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. But you have thoughts on this about like how this will be good for our future now?
I don't know. I think it's a little too early to call. I think Kevin Rooney I think he's still with the Rangers through next year. Is that correct?
I think it's 1 year. I think Blackwell, Rooney, and Potato were 1 year. That's the person I feel the most bad about, Potato. I feel like that dude definitely deserves a shot. I mean, like, if I had to pick, I'd take out Hayek. I don't think Hayek's that special, personally. I think Hayek's just a placeholder till we get Lundqvist and Robertson and Jones.
I don't know, but okay, like whatever. You
really think Hayek's a future player on this team? I really don't.
I think that's why they traded for him. He had a lot of upside. And
no. They traded for him.
Now that he's staying healthy, look at what he's doing though.
No, but they traded for him because they needed to get value for McDonough and Miller. They needed players. They only got picks, but they didn't get enough players.
All right, so
they got Nemestikov.
Maybe you're right.
Nemestikov and Brett Howden. Okay.
Look, maybe you're right, but I personally like Libor Hayek, and I don't think he's a placeholder. But whatever, we'll see what happens.
Not a placeholder,
maybe they bring Lundqvist up. Maybe they bring those Lundqvist up if they really want to make a push for the playoffs or something.
What I would do is I would trade Hayek for like a good depth guy. I don't know, maybe not. If I had to pick, because I just don't see him on the future on this team. Because Lundqvist has had so much more it's like Gauthier and Kravtsov. Like, yeah,
Right.
Gauthier's playing well now, but I'm gonna want Kravtsov, man, because
Right.
him and Lundqvist and Miller, all three in the same draft,
18.
much higher prospects than Gauthier and Hayek ever will be or ever were. Much higher value. They're huge. Look at what Miller's doing this year. Look what Kravtsov and Lundqvist are doing in the KHL and the SHL, respectively.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
They're tearing it up. They're tearing it up. So, yeah, that's just me. And I guess you want to do a breakdown of each game, right? Like the games that happened.
I feel like we should just stick to last night's because we didn't get to see.
Well, let's just talk about the four before a little bit. So obviously,
you have your 8-3 victory. Like
no, I think
we did
Sabres. We did this one?
Actually, no, I don't think we did.
No, because it was on Monday, so it would have been.
Right.
Would have been after this.
Yeah, let's break it
So
down.
yeah, Rangers. We almost lost to the Sabres. Almost got really embarrassed. Whatever, it was fine. Fox scored. I think this
Fox
was.
had 3 points. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, I think that was his 100th game when his parents saw. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Kakko had 2 goals.
Jimmy, like, let's try not to like go too long with these because like
Yeah. Kakko had 2 goals. Pretty nice goals.
Kreider had 2 goals.
Yeah, Kreider had 2 goals.
Power play goals.
I just want to say Kakko on the second line. Good move by Knoblauch or whatever.
Yeah, no, I like it, and I like how David Quinn actually like keeps the lines in order now. So
right, eighth
It's a little too soon, but like
right,
whatever.
yeah. We raped the Flyers again, and it wasn't just like us as a team. It was Mika again, 6 points again, dude.
Fox had 5 points also. Like,
by the way, his second and third goals, like wow, they're just rockets. One from the left circle and one right in the middle, like being covered a little bit. Just boom, you know.
Yeah,
he was just great, man. He was
just see Lafreniere. I know only an assist, but still getting a point on the board.
Right.
Solid.
And then the other 2, a little bit disappointing, but very close. You know.
2-1. Yeah.
Very close. Mika had a goal, keeping that.
At least Mika had. Yeah, that's positive.
Yeah, keeping that scoring pace. Capitals also very close. Colin Blackwell had 2 goals, which was crazy. He kept us in the game. We almost had a comeback in like
Adam
the third.
Fox again getting points. Laffy had a goal.
Laffy had a goal, but it was overshadowed due to the loss. But yeah, like just whatever.
Yeah, no, like you see him scoring. But then
last night,
got the revenge last night. That was a
last night.
Win.
Holy crap! This is why I am sick of people talking about how good the Islanders are in this division. They can't
beat the Capitals.
They can't beat the Capitals. We have
the Capitals are probably like, with all due respect,
Capitals
I know
are honestly,
doesn't say it, but like
I think they're actually the best team in this division. If I'm being really honest, I think they might be.
Maybe I think of them as weak because they can't beat the Rangers.
No. I think we can beat them, but that doesn't mean that they're not the best team. If that
right. No.
I think they're definitely better than the Islanders by far. I think they're better coached.
Yes.
I think technically, because
I don't know if they're as well coached.
No, but I think Peter Lovely, that's a good enough coach that he's able to make them a better team overall. I think it's because of their players. Like, think about it. You like who the Islanders really have outside of Barzal? They don't have that many great playmakers.
You got Varlamov though, and then he's a very
I know, but you need to score goals to win. You just need to. You need to at least score a goal, right? So, and
look, the depth is amazing for them, but the actual power up front is just not.
Ovechkin, Backstrom, Ochi, Kuznetsov, Wilson, Verana, Shiri, and Hagelin. That's crazy.
And Kovalchuk when healthy.
Kovalchuk's on that team still? I forgot.
I think he still is. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe he's not anymore, but I know earlier in the year he was.
Remember, the point is this is the best. We can beat the best team in this division, man.
Don't forget on defense who you've got Schultz, Chara, Carlson, Dylan, Orlov,
and Nicholas Jetson, who I think is the worst
Nick
defender.
Jensen, bro.
I think he's the worst defender, but yeah, they have 5 very good defenses. 5 very good defenses.
The question marks are in their net, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, I think that's why we won. I think their goalie core is very weak. I don't think we played the other guy, right?
They played Vanacek last.
Vanacek, yeah. So you have a lot. You're very high on this guy. You think he's doing? I think he's okay. I don't know. We were able to beat Samsonov too. So,
Samsonov's only played 1 game against the Rangers, and it was the 5-4 loss for the Rangers. So, one game doesn't say it all. Like you would have said that after the first game with the Rangers and Capitals, but Vanacek is now 1-4 lifetime against the Rangers, and why they don't go with Samsonov more, I just don't know why at this point.
I guess. Well,
Maybe because he
this
gave
is
up
obviously
4
because it was
goals
a
in the third.
back-to-back. This was a
Samsonov
back-to-back.
but Samsonov started the first game. They also it wasn't a back-to-back because the Rangers had it like they had a day off in between, and I know traveling and everything, but like Samsonov also gave up 4 goals in the third period, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know.
Anyway, let's just get into this game because this was awesome. Let's go over everything, okay? So I'm trying to – first goal, Hedl breakaway. Dude,
This is after –
I love –
no. Let's start. Like, they crumbled defensively because they let in 2 early goals. Then they get a penalty, right? Like, not they get a penalty. Then they draw a penalty. They get a power play, and they don't score, but they keep the Caps on their heels. You know, they control the zone for most of the time.
And then the Caps get a penalty.
No, Caps didn't get a penalty. Then, like, the Rangers,
whatever. They have the.
that was in the second. Then the Rangers pin them down, and as you mentioned, like, they start dominating that second half of the first period. And then eventually the Hedl goal after, because there wasn't a stoppage in play after the Rangers power play had expired. That was the thing. So the Caps are gassed. They're changing. They got forwards playing the point. And I think it's Tom Wilson on the right and Orlov on the left. And ironically enough, it's Dmitry Orlov who gave us away, but that's because Wilson just doesn't communicate well. He's not a point man. You know, he's not supposed to be out there. So Hedl steals and, of course, fakes the crap out of Vitek Vanacek and scores a breakaway goal.
Dude,
if there's anyone on the Rangers who needed a breakaway goal to go in now, it's Filip Hedl, because the amount of chances he creates and doesn't actually finish is kind of crazy right now. Like, he's just not been a huge breakaway guy. Like, he gets opportunities and he just doesn't seem to score on breakaways a lot. So good move by him. And
yeah, I mean, like, the more he develops, the more of a pressure it is on Ryan Strome to perform, because if Ryan Strome doesn't perform, then Hedl
will be there. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the second goal, I'm trying to remember which one happened. I think it was Kakko.
Goal.
Yeah, that was nice, by the way. Panarin takes it into the side. He cuts across, passes it.
Perfect passing.
It's amazing. That change by Knoblauch, what a call, man. Like, we all agree that Blackwell was great and he deserved to be in the top 6 because he was just playing that well. But
Kakko needs the confidence.
Kakko needs to play with those guys. He can't play with
He's too good of a player. He's too good potentially.
Although
he has too much potential and worth everything.
Although it's not really fair. It's not really fair to Laugh. I don't think Laugh should get.
But Lafreniere, yeah, right. But like then Lafreniere is replacing Panarin. You know what I mean? I mean, he's played with Panarin before, but like I feel like they don't want to move him out of his natural position, trying to make him learn something for the NHL level. This is something he's practicing his whole life, and you know he's going to break out eventually.
I hope so. I'm sick of the young guys. They're gonna it's just not the thing about Lafreniere is it was so great, but the difference is unlike Crosby, like everyone expects so much, but it's not like Crosby or Ovechkin because those teams sucked. Those teams those teams the year before sucked. So obviously those guys were gonna play on the first line. It wasn't. But here we already had a good team, like a really good team. You know, we just got a bad luck in the bubble, and good luck in the draft. That's just what happened. You know. So I'm just like, it's just not fair to Laugh that he's not playing on one of the 2 lines. It's just not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of hope he plays. You know, I really, whatever.
I really do too.
Like, I understand KZB is working now, I guess, but like, I don't know, man. It's just not fair. It's not fair to him. It's not fair at all. Right. And then Fox takes it himself. Beautiful roof. I think it was a backhand.
And then keep by Panarin also. The keep by Panarin was great.
Yeah, he lifts it up. He lifts up it was so powerful, you know?
Yeah.
I when they started doing this a few weeks ago, they said this about Fox. I got a little bit upset. I'm just like, all right, let's relax, because they were basically doing the Brian Leetch comparisons. But this dude is legitimately giving me Brian Leetch vibes. He's
playing out of Norris caliber this season.
Dude was first NHL Star of the Week last week.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a big deal.
10 points in like 4 games.
That's a big deal, by the way. First NHL Star of the Week. It wasn't like Rangers Player of the Week. It wasn't like Metro Player of the Week. NHL. They thought he was the best player in the NHL that week. That's a big deal. Okay? Think about that. I don't see Kel McCarr getting no Player of the Week. No disrespect to him. He's great. But I didn't see it. And second of all, the dude is on a streak like crazy. He's either, if he's not scoring, he's definitely getting an assist. Dude can pass like crazy. Dude, and like everyone's talking about Tony D, who I'm only gonna mention this one time because that dude had a great season last year. But this is even better than that because he can play defense. He can also play defense. Like, I remember, I forgot which game it was, but a few weeks ago, he had a coast-to-coast goal. He had a coast-to-coast goal, and it was so beautiful. I forgot who it was against.
Oh, it was against the Devils, I think.
Yeah, it was so nice. And I know the Devils suck, but still, like, wow. You know?
Blackwood's a good goalie.
He's a great goalie. He's a good goalie. Yeah, but, like, it's just crazy. He's so good. When Quinn says it, I used to think it was like a sugarcoating, but he really means it, man. This dude is one of the most NHL-ready players he's ever seen. It's his second year playing professionally, and he's so good. He literally can play at this level. It's insane. It's insane. Because usually rookie mistakes, but he does not give up a lot of chances. It's very rare. Usually if someone gives up chances, it's because of like Hayek or Truba or something. It's not because of Fox. Like,
this was
oh yeah, I don't know if you saw, but in one of their losses, I don't know if it was the Philly one or the Washington one. At the end of the game, Rangers pulled their goalie, and they didn't like to get because they were down 1, and they didn't get the goal. But the other team didn't get an empty netter.
Yeah.
Fox had 3 blocks. He stopped an empty net goal 3 times.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was Philly. I heard.
That was.
I don't know.
I don't know if you saw the footage. It was insane defense. Because he doesn't have all the padding. He's not as big as the goalies. Like,
right.
And he just stopped them. It was crazy. It probably hurt like hell. But like, wow, good for him, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
that's number 3.
Nah, sorry.
That's number 3. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. Number 4, Panarin, man. That was like a mini breakaway too. I don't know if you noticed this. I think that's like the 3rd time this year that Brendan Smith has like.
It's second. I was thinking about that. Both times Panarin's had breakaways. Like flat breakaways, not like one where he's trying to break in and like, he comes in from an angle with a little bit of space. I mean, like straight down the middle, like a regular breakaway. Brendan Smith has hit them both. First one was the second game of the season against the Islanders, and this one now against the Capitals.
Yeah, and I think it's because Brendan Smith's trying to pay Panarin back. Panarin did the same thing to him. Not a breakaway. He gave him across the line, across the front of the net.
Yeah.
He lifted it up. I'm trying to remember who it was against. I think Pittsburgh.
Philly. It was Philly.
Oh, it was Philly? But yeah, it was just a nice lift. I think, like, hey, you got me one, I'll get you one. Now I got you one, you got to get me one, So, like, I like it, man. I like Brendan Smith a lot. I'm glad we got him when we got him. There were concerns, but, dude, he's just good enough. He's so stable. He's so stable. And, listen, if you really, really like Hayek, I don't think you should take him, but if you really like Hayek, it's Smith's last year. You can just let him go. You don't have to worry about him. It's his last year in the books. If you want to keep Hayek and bring up Lundqvist, that's what you do. But I would personally rather a tandem of Lundqvist and Smith because I think you need a veteran. I think that's a lot more valuable, especially if you're going to bring up Lundqvist. That's my opinion, man. Because the veteran knows what he's doing. He's covering your ass. And unlike Mark Stahl, I have a lot more faith in this guy. A lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you.
This dude can make just good decisions. Like he gets it to Panarin. It's such a good pass. He's so far away. Just boom, just a rocket pass. And well, it wasn't as on the ice as last time. This one was more in the air, but he aimed it very well. Although I feel like some people will say he wasn't even looking toward Panarin, he was just clearing it out. I don't know. I feel like he was looking in his direction. I think he knew it was there. And good goal by Panarin, man. It was kind of like Hedl, he took a few little moves and boom, just put it right past him, man. And there's a reason why Panarin was top 3 in the Hart Trophy last year, man. He's one of the best players in this league by far. He's amazing. Might be the best winger in this league if not for Ovechkin. He's great, man. He's great.
I mean, you've still got to deal with Kucherov, but
isn't he injured?
Yeah, I'm saying
I meant this season.
Yeah. Then Panarin very well might be.
Yeah.
Right.
But
either way,
and then of course, an empty netter.
Buchnevich with the empty netter. I mean, there's not much to say about that other than the fact that Buchnevich has been very, very good this year. And yeah, I mean, props. The other thing I want to point out, it's an empty net goal. There's not much to talk about. It was shorthanded. That just means there wasn't going to be an icing if he missed. With all due, they were already up 2 goals, so it wasn't going to kill them if he would have missed it. But with that being said, this was more of a team effort. I know Panarin had 3 points and Lindgren had a couple assists. But other than that, it was all spread around. Smith an assist, Strome an assist. 4, all 5 goals were scored by different players. So, this was really a team effort, getting back into it and eventually taking the lead. So, I just want to point that out. But But yeah, and then I think the guy we're all forgetting about was the guy who kept us in the game the entire time, Igor Shesterkin.
Yeah, I mean,
He
just
gave
what
up
a, what
those
a game by him. Man.
goals.
32 saves.
And I just like what that like get his goddamn name right. Get his name right, because it's not Shesterkin. I don't know who like I don't know where they.
I think he spells it both ways. I think in Russia it was spelled differently. I'm not sure though. Whatever.
Well, bottom line is
Point
that
is his name is Igor, and he's here to play. I mean, I personally would play him against every team in our division except the Islanders. I feel like he does not. I feel like Georgiev is just such a good record against the Islanders that I'd rather just play Georgiev. That's me personally. Yeah, that's like one of the only teams I would not play Igor against. You know. Also, like, yeah, just like, what are we gonna do about Keith Kincaid, man? I don't know. I feel like
I don't know. He's playing well though when he plays for us. So
I don't know.
but look, he's got a 930. He had a 938 save percentage last night. It's just
that's huge. Anything over 930 is very, very good for a goalie. So, yeah, very good.
But
I mean,
anyway.
I'm not saying shutouts are rare. Like, I don't expect to get shutouts. I usually expect to give up 2 or 3 goals a game. I don't think that's bad for us. I just think we have those kind of goalies.
Can you check just check Igor's stats on the season? I'm just curious to know. Like,
Because I think that here,
stats news NHL.com, I think. Okay, so yeah, now he's 8-8 on the year with a 2.3, 925 save percentage. I mean, that's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad at all.
And he's 18-10 in his career also. Like, that's not too bad either. I know most of that came from last year, but still.
I think it's just, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't fair last year. I don't know. Or maybe this year is just like a weird year. I don't know. Either way, I mean, he was in a car accident, so.
Yeah.
So, like, that might have, I don't know. All I know is this. We're coming for the playoffs, baby. We're still in the hunt. 5 games out of a playoff spot. Sorry, 5 points. That's 2.5 games. All right. We gotta beat Philly and beat Boston, or we just gotta win our games in Boston and Philly gotta lose out. Very possible, man. Yeah. I mean, the only real way this is gonna happen is if somehow Buffalo breaks their streak against Philly or Boston. It's the only way. That's the only way for sure it will happen, because for that to happen, you don't deserve a playoff spot. You know?
I mean, you could, yeah, whatever.
Come on, man. You know.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Last week, you don't remember what you said last week? You said, man, if we lose, if the Sabres breaks their streak.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna.
I know it's not gonna change. It's not gonna do anything for us, but I would be so happy if the Islanders are the team that lose.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be.
Yeah, you know what I was. But here's the only thing. They only have like 2 more games against Buffalo. They've played 12 games. I counted it like after their 7-game win streak. I don't know if they've played Buffalo since or the Devils.
We've only played the Islanders 3 times. We played them
so
little. Like, it's crazy.
I know. That's going to be like, that's really the only challenge I see going forward, because we don't have to worry about Boston too much. We only have 2 games against them. And I honestly feel
you don't have to worry about Washington or Philly. We played most of our games against them. Devils, not good.
It's really like we have 4 against the Sabres, 4 against the Devils. That could be 8 wins right there. That could be. I'm not saying it will be. I'm not saying it will be.
British problem is the Islanders and the Penguins. Those are our problems.
That's really just it. You got to cash in. You got to cash in on the only teams really that are going to give you trouble throughout the rest of the season are the Islanders and the Bruins, because the Bruins no more games on home ice, and the Islanders 4 out of 5 on the Islanders ice. Other than that, all your games against the Caps are on home ice. The rest of your games against the Penguins are on home ice, and the rest of your games against Philly are on home ice. That's 6 home ice games. 2 each. The Caps, Penguins, and Flyers.
I just don't know if home ice is going to really matter. You know,
I think it will.
Because there's not so many fans anymore. You know.
I mean, whatever. You say what you want to say, Joey. But
I remember a year ago, we played the Islanders 4 times, like we usually do. Okay, we played it. We beat them.
I get it. Look, I don't care. I don't want to talk about it because it doesn't matter right now. We're not talking about last year.
Okay, fine.
We're not talking about last year.
Okay.
Last year's an ad. Okay. The only thing historically, okay, that you might have as a positive with the Rangers going forward here that has to do with the road is the fact that the Rangers have always played well when it comes to playing against the Islanders on the island. That's the only thing.
That's
Like
what I'm saying, though. I'm saying
that's the only thing, though. Like, you can't guarantee. Like, I don't think, honestly, like, well, I think they could theoretically beat Boston, like both games in Boston, because Boston's struggling now. Like, I'm still not going to be willing to bet both games against them. Like, they just got their fans back and they're playing well in front of their fans. So whatever. Like, I'm just saying, the only one I actually trust them to beat on away ice, like guarantee at least once or twice now, is the Islanders. That's the only team, because they couldn't win a game in Pittsburgh. So, and they weren't dominant in Philly. You know, they only split in Philly. They split in Washington. So, I mean, like, whatever. I don't want to say anything more about it. It's just,
yeah.
you know, let's go Rangers going forward. And I think they have a bigger chance than a lot of other people.
I mean, let's go, man. They're playing Sabres tomorrow. They're playing Sabres. They're playing 2 straight against the Sabres, man. Tomorrow and Saturdays. So
tomorrow is Thursday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, you're saying it's not back to back. Got it.
No, it's that's why I said the days, so you wouldn't think it's a back to back, tomorrow and Saturday. Okay. Right.
You said 2 straight. That's what had me thinking. Anyway,
I'm saying 2 straight, as in not
2 straight games without right.
Yeah.
Like, no.
This is our schedule. Just listen. 2 straight against the Sabres, 2 straight against the Penguins, 2 straight against the Islanders, 4 straight against the Devils, 4 straight. Wow. That's gonna be crazy. If we imagine we like, oh my god.
I don't want to imagine. Just say the rest of the damn schedule. Like,
okay, sorry. The rest of the schedule after the Devils: 1 against the Islanders, 2 against the Flyers, 2 Sabres, 2 Islanders, 2 Capitals, and 2 Bruins. So we're ending our season against the Bruins, who we're in a competition for the playoff spot. So,
but the Rangers might pull away by then.
I hope it doesn't happen.
Pull away also, though.
I hope it doesn't happen. I hope we clinch earlier, but it might go down the wire, man. It really might.
It very well could. I don't think they're going to clinch too early. I still believe the Rangers can get the 3rd seed.
They definitely are gonna. I think they're definitely gonna go past the Flyers because they're only like 1 game behind them. You know, the Bruins you're gonna need some, like, the Bruins to lose. You're gonna need them to lose.
Yeah. But look, Bruins still have to play the Capitals a good amount, and they still got 3 left against the Islanders, and they haven't beaten the Islanders yet. So we'll see.
True. And I really hate that, though, by the way, because these are 2 of the teams I hate the most.
No, but I'm okay with the Islanders beating the Bruins, because I know this is going to sound like I hate the Bruins more than I hate the Islanders. Like, I have some respect for the Islanders because they might be the most crapped on team in all of the NHL. But, like, the reality is they could still win.
They haven't won anything since 1983. So
no, but, like, with the team they have, the fact that they're able to have success with the players they have is mind-boggling. Like, Boston's like a spoiled little bitch brat. Like, that's all it is.
No, honestly, no, it's not fair, man. It's not fair. They got Pasternak and Marchand. Like, I actually kind of like Pasternak.
More like the fact that Bergeron and Marchand have turned the clock back a decade. Like, Pasternak I could get behind. Like, he's young and he's going to be one of the best players in NHL to come in the next decade. But, like, Bergeron and Marchand, well, I said I love Bergeron as it pains me because, like, I love him as a player and I love him as a person. Marchand's a cock on the ice, but, like, you know, he's not like insane off the ice, you know, like, he's not a dick off the ice. But with that being said, I mean, like, Bruce Cassidy might be the biggest crybaby coach in the entire NHL right now.
And
he's still so ungrateful about the team he has. And it's, like, really sad and whatever. Like, I'm not getting
Edwards might be the most annoying announcer in the league.
Yeah. I mean, like, no offense to Jack Edwards. Like, I hear a lot, like, also, like, when he's not in the press box, amazing guy. Everyone loves to be around him, great personality. But, like, right now, he is the most biased announcer, if I had to say.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
Like, and that's hard because I've heard, like, bro, the Penguins' former announcer used to, I mean, like, he still is. And he's the guy who will be forever, in my opinion. Unless I hear someone, like, unless Edwards somehow takes the cake, which even I don't think is going to happen, or someone else is up and coming and manages to do it. But other than that, like, I'm sorry, like, Jack Edwards, like, it's not the thing that, like, he calls, like, all the games. It's really just, like, what happens with Marchand. Like, you can't see that, but whatever. Like, I'm not gonna rip, like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What else could you say? I think we're good here. You know.
Anyway, I mean, like that's all there really is to it. Go Rangers, and let's get into the playoffs, baby.
Let's go Rangers, man.
Let's prove that world wrong. Anyway, thank you all for tuning into the JJ Sports Podcast. We greatly appreciate it. If you stayed the entire time, you're a real trooper. Like and subscribe, comment. We want to hear from you guys. We enjoy doing this for you. And yeah, that's about it. For the final time, I'm signing off. I'm Josh.
And I'm Joey.
Have an amazing day.